Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to map number 1+1. What is that? That is 2, because that is the map that we are going to show you. I'm a bit of a riddler myself. I'm, of course, joined by my lovely analyst once again, reappearance. Welcome back, and talk us through the second map of Chalet.
Right, I noticed that you seem to like kids shows.
What? Huh?
That's my analysis. I mean,
Wait,
that
what?
rhyming there.
Pause.
I'm sorry.
Pause.
I'm
Pause.
sorry.
Hey,
That
time
was
out.
what one
I
plus
have a,
one
I have a,
two.
I have a career
I
in
don't
front
know
of me.
about
You can't
that.
do that to me, man. You can't do that to me. I'm gonna
Okay.
get
Well,
cancelled.
anyway, about the actual game and what we're actually supposed to be doing, or at least me, maybe. I don't know about you. I don't know why you're here, but I'm here to do analysis, and my job is to tell everyone here that TT9 won the first map. Very surprising, I know. Heroic started out pretty well. They won 3 rounds in a row, and then suddenly TT9 they really got into the game, got into a groove. They had some elements there, but it didn't quite click until round 4. And then they started just rolling over Heroic, winning all of their opening engagements, just firmly in control, getting some clutches here and there. It's a little shaky, but still 7 in a row. And so they end up the first map 7-3. And so now we have TT9 on map point. So we're going on to map 2, and they're up 1-0. We're going to Chalet. This is going to be Heroic's pick. So Heroic looking to fight back so that we'll even up the scoreline. You know, if both teams win their map picks, which is kind of what you expect, we'll be going to map 3. So I think it's fairly likely we could see a map 3, but for now we have to see how these two teams play. Last time I said Heroic are going to win the map, it didn't end up happening, so I'll keep out of prediction this time. I'm not going to predict anything. I'm just going to say that this is going to be another close match, just the same way that the first map was in its own regard. And we'll just have to wait and see. It's kind of hard to tell.
You may not be giving your prediction, but I will. For the sake of the viewing experience, I'm going to guess this is going to be a 7-4 or 7-5 Heroic victory, just so we can go through all 3 maps and we can get a lovely, lovely Siege viewing experience. But that's all from their analyst deaths. We've been going on for far too long. You don't want to see us anymore. So I'm going to give us over to our lovely, lovely casters. Take it away once again, Bob, and, of course, Inferno.
If we're gonna keep dealing with them, then I'm gonna ask this one to end in 2 maps. I'm not sure what was going on there. Start of that one was a little bit crazy. They were getting at each other's throats there for a moment. Either way, we won't get at each other's throats here, Bob. We've got ourselves some action to actually talk over instead of pretending that we have stuff in front of us. We don't write notes. Who does that anyways? First map, very much so dominantly in favor of TT9. Heroic was not even a part of it past the first 3 rounds. Giving 7 in a row is a pretty bad look. But for map 2, it is finally back to Heroic's map pick. And what a map. It's Chalet, my favorite map of all time.
Oh, your favorite map? So maybe you're going to be seeing some very interesting or maybe new things, you could say, as of course these are pretty strong teams. Now, Chalet, yet again, it's been a bit more of a common map nowadays. You could consider it a bit more going towards how commonly picked Clubhouse or maybe even others could be. Now, with that in mind, of course, yeah. Right now, I'm not sure, can we be heard? Yes, I think we should be able to be heard. I'm just getting a bit more confused from the side of, oh yeah.
Ignore production. Ignore production. They're not real people.
Yeah, no.
They're fake.
Okay, for a second I thought it just cut to some sort of like a break, but don't mind my confusion. Yeah, right now pretty much Chalet.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Stop worrying about grenades now.
Reloading.
ATS deployed and ready to go.
Reinforcing wall.
10 seconds left. 5 seconds remaining. Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Swapping max.
Bomb located by attackers.
Magic going out. Drone going out. Reloading. Cover me.
Reloading. Cover me. I'm reloading.
Perimeter fit.
I don't want to necessarily say, oh, maybe it's going to be a 3-0 and then Heroic wins 7 in a round, but they have been getting a bit better of a start and a finish from the previous one, so they are continuing on the surge, this confidence and this team chemistry they've been having at it. Now, going on to round number 2, we're going to be going downstairs, wine cellar, and snowmobile. I'm surprised we're not going to be seeing much bar and kitchen
Attackers
itself,
need
as
to
those
locate and
do
defuse
rely a
as
bit
many
more on
bombs as they
extension,
can.
rely a bit more on actual team play. From the Heroic side, we would expect to see it as this is their map. You know, they're confident here, and they should be expanding that, but still, both the bottom and the top side are still very clearly good, still playable, and besides this side specifically relying a bit more on, you know, how would I say this, main breach. Just like you could call it CC, it isn't as heavy as Clubhouse, but it still is pretty dominant. I mean, you take out the back main breach, you get a lot of sight onto the
10
pretty
seconds
much
left.
rotations, on lines of sight, on these gadgets, players themselves. And for
5 seconds
Garage
left
itself, I
before
mean, we will
insertion.
be having a bandit, which I'm crossing my fingers, maybe some bandit tricking
Attackers'
coming in, which
objective is to
I'm
locate a
doubtful with the
bomb
amount
and
of nades and kind of a utility you have. I mean, we already see the Thermite along with Norris bringing in Impact EMP, so it would be hard. And yeah, it seems like he won't be giving it much of a shot, but still, utility usage is there, and you do not want to let them just kind of take it without wasting anything themselves.
Welcome back, everybody. Casters are finally here. We took a break apparently during round 1, though we didn't get the memo.
Drone ready.
Could have saved my breath. It's so tiring, so exhausting, Bob, to talk over a video game for so long. You know, it's just my favorite activity. I hate doing it, man. It's just the worst. Despite doing it 90% of the time, just with the kindness of my own heart. You know. I do it in my casual games. It's my favorite thing to do, actually. Yeah, so speaking of favorite things to do, dying's not on the list. It'll be their first death here of the series. And speaking of which, second one to follow suit here for Kindrew. The damage has been sung out very well for TT9. It was a DB node position there for June. Finally dealt with, though, cleared up once the reload comes through, and Blaz off screen was also eliminated in quick succession, leading to a 3 versus 3. TT9 acquiescing first blood, but firing back just as quickly to tie things back up for a 3-on-3 on site. With it being down in the basement, it's very difficult for TT9 to get here. They no longer have the INOC scanner. They have, well, no more nades to truly work with. They'll have to rely on flashes. And they do have a hard breach. So if they wanted to truly here, Bob, they could rotate to outside garage, take snowmobile, and try to work from there. Because they do still have 2 exothermic charges, meaning they have not yet breached anything. But when you over-aggress like that, you lose out on a huge amount of potential. You gotta keep the MP safe, and that's why Norris and Leonski are still alive.
Oh yes, most definitely. What is the scary part though is that Dokabedit managed to get herself 1 kill on the Joom, meaning we have intel on these defenders from their own sites. We have the main cameras, we have everything they put down, even at the default included. So, you know, there's gonna be a lot less of a, I guess you could say, bad insecurity for flankers. There's still a man disadvantage they're at, as TT9 isn't looking good. They managed to, you know, return that double kill in the starting area, but then it seems like they just kind of dropped it. It was a 3v3 and the hatch peak came in onto the Jaeger, didn't manage, as Officer managed to get himself 1, and now with 35 seconds on the clock, they're kind of revealing their position. There comes Norris getting taken out. Officer with another one. The drop from the thermite, he gets the Jaeger, does not get the bandit though, as it will be yet again. I mean, we're going to be seeing Officer right now bleeding on the floor, begging for his life, instead of the bandit finishing the job off as a replay. But if it works, it works, as of course that though could be getting taken out was still quite essential. I mean, he did manage to make it a bit more easy for the defensive side and just equaling it up. Heroic got their first round, and you know, after an 8-round loss streak, you got to start somewhere.
It's an interesting idea from TT9 to take control of hatch and just drop down once they initially pressure that player backwards. Keep a barricade gave them a little bit of a safety net, but I think they grew a little bit overconfident in that position. Still needed a player in door. Still needed a player to be able to cut down Blue Hall. There was no pressure boiling up from there, despite the fact that TT9 took control of Blue Stairs. Sorry, White Stairs. It's whatever you want to call it here on this map. It's no longer cool vibes. We don't have to deal with coastline anymore. But get all the way down to the bottom of the stairs, you can take control of Blue Hall, and then you have a better angle at which to deny that corner. Issue is you got to keep a barricade. You got a foothold angle. No team wants to pressure down that stairwell because it's a one-way. The TT9 had cleared that. Once the pressure, the presence of that Kiba, the presence of that Blue Hawk player has been known with drone work, you can get down there fairly swiftly. The issue was TT9 just bled men early and they lost the advantage in numbers, which meant they didn't have as strong of a pincer as they necessarily would have wanted, which inevitably led to them, you know, just trying to force the situation at hand, and that level of escalation just doesn't warrant success. Heroic are going to be riding the high of a victory after that last round. They're heading to the next one. They're going to go right back up to master bedroom and office. They're going to try a couple spawn peeking angles. One over towards trophy that has been prepped for the run out. One over there towards piano window, and I'm honestly shocked not to see one on ego window as well, considering how aggressive Heroic are being.
Yeah, but we're going to be seeing an interesting pick as he's been nerfed now too long ago. It's going to be Kendrew bringing out. Good, he kind of looks like Elon Musk to me. I don't know. I just kind of can't put my vision in front. I'm just, it's just a personal thing. But, yeah, most definitely we're going to be seeing the Grim in play, who, yet again, I still can't get off of him. His face reminds me completely of Elon Musk, so maybe a bit of a coincidence from the side of Ubisoft. But with the recent buffs, he's now actually very viable. With his, I guess you could say, bees in hand, he's going to be a very strong holding advantage of not only just denying people from peeking, but also keeping them in place if used correctly. You know, not too much progression coming in from the side of TT9. They're slowly coming in, but they're taking their sweet and precious time as they're not getting much jobs done. I mean, Kendra right now, it seems like they're going to be kind of ignoring maybe even the defenders on the roam, as that's kind of one of the only things they have in their asset.
TT9 are just exploring their avenues of approach. They're making Heroic aware of as many avenues as they possibly can. Doing so will spread out the Heroic defense and maybe make the actual approach that TT9 are going to employ a little bit easier for them in the long run. Seemingly Solarium is the go-to choice for them. There goes Kayak, I believe, just trying to make their way inside. Or sorry, Skitty denying the player trying to make their way inside. It's a good attempt. Unfortunately, Kayak will fall inevitably in the end. It could lead to a 5 versus 4. Kindred was DBNO'd, but being able to be recollected and
Attackers
just
recover
trying to
the
hold on to as much of their life that is remaining as possible. I think for Heroic, when it comes to the defensive position they're working from, they realize that TT9 have not put any pressure over towards office, bar the office door and balcony, and it's likely going to be a pressure coming in from that Solarium window, as well as over towards Trophy, where they have already seen a player, met them early, lost a player to them, and is now hearing the dumpage of utility go back their way as the bees get sent skyward. My biggest nightmare imaginable. Joom is living in visceral hell in my mind. They're trying to escape away from that cubby position that's been forced away by Kinju, and that opens up big window like I highlighted at the beginning of this map. It's a difficult spot to work from, and it is a huge problem for Heroic as they are getting cut apart at every turn. Officer trying to climb back in. A 1v3 made to 2, but it's just not going to happen here, Bob.
No, it will not, as TT9 will be securing themselves the second round. Not looking too bad. A very dominant spree right now coming in. It was a very much closer round than, you know, the other previous ones, but still went to the side of the attackers here. Now, as we're going to be heading into Barn Gaming, this is one of the sites where Frost, I guess for a bit of a history lesson, Frost got introduced and actually recognized as powerful as she is, especially on the library hold with the Wamai shield pretty much facing the piano double door. It's going to be a very tough one to go with. I mean, Frost in general, if you kind of don't keep her in the back of your head at all times, she can become a nuisance because, you know, once you realize you're in the Frost trap, your leg's pretty much been broken, because I don't get how operators manage to recover from that. Yes, it's pretty now, yeah, once you realize you're in that Frost, it could be too late. I mean, the locations of the Frost mats, if at sometimes when they're in library, they're also positioned for a wave that you can wallbang from below, finishing off the player and not even needing to be in actual vision with him. As with that, also Frost comes along with the shield, which just works perfectly with the Shrat. Now, this is where this good old Grim could come in handy. You know, you could just pretty much deny any peeks from head holes on the side of library. Maybe you could push away any player on the side of the top library stairs, as that's kind of the utility he has. He has a bit of a weirder way of line scanning, as he just pushes you, puts you out of your comfort zone, as Heroic will be getting the spawn pick on Kanto, and that's going to be not only the nades out, well, one set of the nades, but also Ayana, which could be very useful for just intel gathering in the late game. And with that, I mean, Heroic is being very impressive, Inferno.
Yeah, it goes unpunished from TT9. That's bad. It's a very unfortunate look for TT9's playstyle. Claymore inside drone hole, and the attempt there from Skitty to clear it ends up with their life being cut down shortly. Player on site towards that kitchen side, or bar side, I should say, gets DBNO'd very quickly. And though Officer does find a pickup onto Azure seemingly for free, maybe was not aware that Nars was pretty much right behind him, and is forced to take and bite the bullet quickly after the fact. I think for Heroic, the Grim idea is okay in a lot of positions, but you don't have a cutoff angle. That was where the Grim played really well in Master Bedroom. They had big window to play for the cutoff. They did not have that option this map on this round, and so they're going to play something a little bit more destructive in terms of ordnance, such as Ash Breaching Rounds, such as Zofia Lifeline Impacts. They want to clear away the Keeper Barricades. That is their highest priority, and considering they're lacking 2 of the nades they brought to the table, considering that they lost Kanto right off the rip from the spawn peak, they had to escalate things a little bit too quick, and it's now put TT9 in a bit of a rough spot. They've lost 3 players. They're facing a 2v3 of the man disadvantage. Cream has been DBNO'd, so they're low on HP, but it's still gone up where otherwise TT9 don't have that advantage.
Yeah, but they do have the nade. They have that one single nade from Nars, which could be coming in quite useful and maybe even quite deadly for these upcoming shots. As Sophia manages to get one, shoots at the barricade, takes out the player on the side of Heroic, though, as Queen will be left standing. He gets one, and he gets the second. Not too much HP for himself. He will not be going down without a fight. A very nice headshot and a flick to the left, finishing the job onto the Zofia and the sledge. And wow, what a clutch up, you could say. You know, not too much HP, but you can't underestimate the gun. The gun is very strong, and it very much was proved in that position right there, as not only was it looking very good, I mean, for the side of TT9 right there, they managed to put it up to a 2v2, but also to a 2v2 with the opposing player being very low on HP, but that Frost was not letting it slide by so easily as she got herself a nice little, you could say, highlight for the end of round number 4. And Heroic putting it up to a 2-2 score, not letting any type of shriek, or you could say surge coming in from TT9, just shutting it down as soon as something goes wrong. We're going back downstairs, we see the man, and I'm curious about the Legion. Now, as well, you know, it's either Solus or Zami get banned, and this is exactly why. Zami is very strong on this map, and there's a reason. We saw, as also Inferno mentioned, we had that blue stare, a Zami barrier, which was just so deadly, you can't peek it. You can lay down, but you're going to be already slow enough so that the enemy can shoot you in time. And even if you do peek it, or maybe try to run on to the opposite side of the barrier to kind of, you know, maybe catch them off surprise, it's still, they have a very clear shot on you and have way more time to react, so it's just an overall deadly trap.
I don't know if you saw the last one there, or maybe the first one that was tossed out from Skitty. The Kiva barricade placed onto table down inside basement. It locks down any angle that would be breached open on that garage wall connecting in towards the B objective, or sorry, A objective stance. It also makes it so trying to peek into doorway gives a pixel hole for Heroic's defense to utilize. The issue was, it was Skitty that placed it. Skitty was the likely user to lie behind it and wait. And Skitty has now been cut short as they had extended over towards Big Garage, setting up a Kiva barricade to lie in wait, and it didn't work out for them. Speaking of which, if you're talking about heroic players, why not the other player with the troll name? It's Kayak, swinging very aggressively. Knight herself is tossed, ripped, and dipped, and in the back product and trying to step back away from the engagement, they'll bite the bullet quite literally L85 in the hands of Kendra, who swings for 2 kills. In the same fell swoop, it's a 5v2 already. Not even 50 seconds, we're off the clock, and Heroic are now down to less than half their man count.
Not looking too good as they managed to get a kill back. Blast gets 1 and a second onto Azar. Gets taken out by the Buck though, shotgun in hand. Joom gets 1 for himself. It's gonna be Kanto 2v1 situation. On main stairs, the intel is there, so he's stuck just a bit as the attackers don't seem to have the diffuser. The smoke comes. What a flick to the right. The SMG-11 in hand, making it a 1v1. He does have the C4. He throws it, and they're looking quite similar on HP, as it will not be able to finish the job, and the Buck will be peeking him at the right moment, right time, finishing him off. And wow, to say how surprisingly close that was, it was looking like a 4v2 situation, and it actually managed to get down to a 2v1, which all props to that Mute. I mean, he tried, but sadly, I mean, a very nice shot also onto the garage player on the snowmobile onto the right. Just a very nice flick in general. The C4 was attempted. It was well thrown, but Buck managed to evade it just by a second. And of course, with the Buck having a lot more intel to where this Mute is in a better position, better angle to go off of, and just a better gun for those ranges, he was able to win it, getting TT9 the 3rd round as we head into the last round for the Wolves.
TT9 going ahead for now. Whether or not that stands to be true, time will have to tell. At least it's better for Heroic. Yeah, they don't have a 3-0 start, but let's keep in mind the last time they did, they lost 7 in a row.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're really looking for going at 3-0 start and then finding anything past that. Chalet, statistically speaking, if you're talking about the old heydays of Chalet's initial release into the competitive scene, it was a very attacker-favored map. It tends to fall a little bit more towards the defense for EU. NA still tends to have a little bit of that pizzazz for the attack. It's like 51% to him. It's extremely slim if you categorize it from most amateur scenes. But when it comes to Talent League, it does fall to the defense for this map, and I don't think that's too shocking. The problem is, Heroic are another spot where they should have the advantage, like they should have had on Bank, and they have fallen back the other way. TT9 could give it up, go 3-3 at half, and then find the defensive half in their favor, because they looked ridiculous on their defense last map here, Bob. They went flawless in nature for it. I can't imagine it's going to change too much as we start to pivot over to that side, but they're going to go into this round. Look at the play they've got going out here. They're sending out the roly-polies of walls. Kendra is picking a very interesting selection for an operator, and I don't think this is a bad idea when it comes to this very first floor. Dealing with kitchen and dining, you can send those in through hatch, cut down sights, and breach through that initial wall from fireplace and put your team in a good spot. But you've lost an Ash and a Yana. You have no more entry power, and they're going to guns up with the players that aren't necessarily responsible for that role.
Oh, but Norris securing himself a triple. Kendra getting taken out. Blaz. And of course, with that, it's going to be the Fenrir out of match, which could be interesting to see. Along with the Sens, we would always love to see those duct tapes rolling on the floor, releasing Viper smoke. And now it's back to a 2v2, looking a bit closer like it was previously. As, of course, these attackers can play vertical. They don't have the diffuser in hand, though, which could prove troublesome. I mean, they have the hatches. They had some sort of intel. And I'm assuming they're pretty safe with the drones, you know, just making sure they don't get flanked as easily. It's going to be down to gunfights any second. I mean, this verticality is going to be coming onto the defensive side pretty heavily. Feet getting shot out onto the Azami, the drone hole, making a bit of a difference, but not enough to finish the job. As, I mean, they still have the time. Inferno, they have more than a minute, more enough the time to drone these guys out, make sure what they want to do, talk it out. And that's probably the best thing I would recommend in this situation, as you're looking pretty close. And last time HP didn't matter, as Cross just pretty much, you know, mowed them all down.
Should you call the projector a Viper one? As a Valorant caster, that hurts. That hurts.
I'm sorry.
It's not a toxic screen. It is not a toxic screen. There is a kill. Big one for Skinny. So eventually we'll stop saying heroic Achilles. Just put it now to a 1v2. Player up close and personal. It's dealt with quickly. Norris forced to go for an ace. Already has the 4. Limited HP. Will need to hit the head. Diffuser can be collected quite easily, and it should lead to the possibility here of the defuse. The planting of the defuse. But a great play from Blast to pivot up to the second floor. Honestly, if I'm Norris, I'm rotating away from this initial plant. I'm going to go ahead and swing over here towards the connection, connecting towards kitchen. Blast still has the upper hand up above. Will they know the initial planting spot? Blaz will lie in wait with the bailiff, waiting to send it down below to the floorboards, ruining the resale value here of this beautiful chalet. He's gonna force them off the plant for now. Norris has no chance but to step behind potted plant as best they can to tuck away, but a live ping goes forward. There's no time, and Heroic do just enough to buy it to give themselves a 3-3 split at halftime. There's just nothing that TT9 could do, as they couldn't get a plant down, forced away. They don't need to go for the kill, and he's down to 10 HP, if even that. What can you do?
Wow, what a way to acknowledge your enemy's strategies against themselves. I mean, the Buck, instead of the Oryx kind of securing that the diffuser for himself, he used that strategy of the attacker's verticality for himself. He went up, they had the pings, they had the intel on where this Buck was exactly at all times. He went above him, and he just waited patiently. He waited good, and at the end, it was a bit scary to see how close the Buck was to actually shooting him out. It was still well played. I mean, the Buck couldn't really play against him, as the Oryx had constant info. I mean, the pings were coming out. He knew there was, of course, his teammates telling him if he was planting or faking, and with that, I mean, you can't really do much as a Buck. You can just random guess, start shooting through, or even hip firing through the ceiling in general, but that's not going to get you much, as it all depends on luck itself. And playing off of luck in this close of a match is not going to be the way to go about it. He was close, but, you know, it came down to the last 3 seconds. He had to go through the plan, didn't stick it, as I mean, he couldn't. He was getting red pinged as well. He even knew the enemies knew exactly where he was, and with that, we're going to be going upstairs, so we're going to make it a 3-3, and with that, I mean, as well, TT9 is right now on defense, and with Heroic on attack. This could be changing for the better or for the worst for both of these teams.
It's one of the reasons why you see that objective getting played so heavily by a lot of defending teams, especially why you don't see Master Bedroom Office anymore. You can basically defend kitchen and dining as if it is still the second floor home. You extend up there, you hold not as strong as you necessarily would, because it's obviously not the objective. But you play for the extension because you got to go top down on the attack. It is the #1 way to take that objective. We saw TT9 kind of have the idea. They obviously brought out a lot of floor destruction and started to make quick work of it. But when the man count started to get slim, they had to go gun up, and because of that, it just paved the way for Heroic to use those own floorboards against him. It was a very big problem. Norris gets a refrag after the first blood loss, hunting for a second, and unfortunately the 9mm will not find its intended target. It'll be Skitty to remove them quickly in the end, regaining that man advantage for the Heroic side. But as quick as they get it, it goes back the other way. How many times can these teams go 1 for 1? And unfortunately for TT9, Leonski may just be done. Trapped in a DB node state behind piano. What can you do? Well, fall in the hands of June. There's nothing else you can ask for.
Joom getting a double kill under his belt. He's going to be finishing off the Azami, as it seemed like the aggression from the Golden will be coming out. Cream with a triple of his own. not looking too good, as Heroic right now are looking at a very good man advantage. The Fenrir gets spotted. They know where he is, and now he's pretty much stuck on Solarium, or actually Trophy Stairs, as you may call it. Getting slowly pushed, even from below in Kitchen, doesn't expect it. Joom finishing it off, and a very nice round going to the side of Heroic, and not only was it nice, smooth, but also very dominant, with a 3v1 finishing it up. The Fenrir getting choked out in the end, and with that, it's a 3-4 score, looking a lot better than it was previously, but TT9 still putting up a pretty decent fight. You know, Heroic aren't winning 7, 8, 9 rounds in a row, but they're still doing better. It's a 4-3 for them. And they're just step by step getting closer to that match point. As we're going to be going into bar gaming, we're going to be seeing yet again that Frost, but I'm quite interested in how they're going to deal with all of this without a Wamai.
It just felt like TT9 didn't hold enough respect for Heroic, especially after the performance on last map when it came to their defensive side. I understand it. I get it to a degree, but it's a new map, it's a new team, right? It's kind of how you think about it. We had, what, like a 15-minute break in between? It's a whole new team. They're completely refreshed. That was their little brother playing on the keyboard and mouse last game, and now they finally picked things up and are taking it seriously. They get the go-ahead round win. It's now going 4-3. And TT9 can go ahead and try to tie things back up here as they flip their defense over to the objective of choice for a lot of teams here for the map of Chalet. Of Billiards, aka game, as well as over towards that bar side. I think this is the best objective when it comes to this map. The second one tending to be towards basement, which is heavily underpicked when this map initially released. In fact, it was very much so hated. If you said you liked it, then you were pretty much immediately blacklisted for most teams. And then when this map and this round and this objective got really popular, then you were immediately on the top of everyone's hit list to hire. Either way, TT9 have prepped up very well. Shield up on top of White Stairs over towards Ivy Hall. Looking to cut down the approach possibility from this northern side of the map that Heroic are likely going to try to work from. But they have to put pressure first over towards Library, make sure there's a constant threat to TT9's presence upstairs. And Kendrew, an interesting decision to put your smoke here is typically lay a dock in wait in corner. So even if they take damage from a constant barrage of nades or util, they can heal themselves back up and escape and or survive to take down a player when they attempt to entry in.
Yeah, the nades are going to be slowly coming out, one used by the Yana already, but there's only one pair to go with. As of course, it's not going to be too wise to use them too quickly. You want to make sure those ADSs are out of the match. We may not have a Wamai, but you know what? A Jaeger can do the job just as fine. We're going to be seeing some breaches coming from the Hibana, getting denied by the Jaeger and the Ace, but he won't be going down without a fight. Joom getting that revenge, you know. Maybe he took out those Kivas, but he won't be taking down the Hibana herself. As of course, Ace Charge does also get taken along with it, so there is some utility usage going to wait, along with Leonski getting finished off. Another one from Blast, getting the double kill for himself. Kendrew taking some heavy damage. Heroic joining in, and that's going to be a flawless coming in from Heroic, a very dominant one, and a 3-5 score. That just, oh my goodness, that dropped in a matter of seconds. You know, it was looking, oh, they got one, they got two. Blast looking like a double kill, just as 1.5 in a matter of seconds. And yeah, Heroic, you know, the 2-round difference will be most definitely making a change.
I don't know if you noticed that. It was a blink and you miss it kind of moment. But the moment you lose Library from Kanto's control and you remove the player, look how quickly the round ended. Lickety split, blink and you'll miss it. TT9 lost all effective impact in that round. That was the 3-2-1 countdown moment from Heroic, and the countdown was not needed on a clock itself. It was the death of Kanto. Can't lose that line there, Kanto. You just cannot swing for that one. You need to understand the game plan, understand what your purpose is in that role. Great job to clear the X-Kairos pellets and the Selmas. The issue was the over-aggressing in the swing after the fact to try to get the player in big window and Library. An unnecessary swing. You are not playing for the utter denial of that window play of Library control for the attacking side. You are playing for the long-term disengagement. You are playing to keep Heroic away as long as humanly possible while maintaining the man count and playing for frags and kills and control elsewhere on the map. Let Heroic take control of this northern side. Let them take piano. You got a player on stairs for that. Let them take control of Library in the final 45 seconds. And you prepped your team well for it. Kanto swinging that early. It's the demise of TT9, and that brings Heroic now up to a 5-3 scoreline, and they're in a really comfortable position to try to take this map, tie things up 1-1 in the series, and send us into our final map of the night.
Yeah, this is the clash of titans. These teams looking both stronger in their own maps. I am quite curious how the third one's going to be going, as it really does depend on pretty much how much mistakes are going to be appearing on both of the sides. Now going over for control of top, we're going to be seeing some nades come out. We have two pairs from the side of Viana and Glass. Both seems like the smokes will not be coming into consideration. The breaches are coming out, which the lines pretty much just showing what type of rotations could be made from the defenders are going to be getting shut down. They can still peek it. They run across it, taking their chances, and what a chance they took. As of course, they're going to get safe and sound into Piano's side, you know, managing to make themselves a bit more comfortable in their position and just a bit more useful for their teammates. Now with that, I mean, Bathroom still isn't taken, Piano still isn't taken. You maybe cut off a lot of rotation, and it seems like the side of I forgot what it's called. I'll just call it Aqua for now. Has been taken over. Kanto again. One blast with a double kill yet again onto Leonski. And North, that's going to be the Zami joined by the Frost out of the match. And we're looking quite heavily on the Frogs. Progressing, he will be taken out by Kendrew. Not letting it slip by. Another one coming on to the side of Heroic. Azar from the side of Bathroom. Not expecting another one to be playing there. As you know, can never expect a Jaeger in Bathroom.
It's an interesting idea from TT9 to play at the shield, not on Piano itself, but inside of Jacuzzi instead. It did set up a very nice angle to be able to deny Solarium pressure. It didn't allow for Blaz's initial takedown, but that's fine. You squeak one out and get the refrag back. It's not the biggest loss in the world. The team player is still set up on their Sentinel hold, and just a matter of just playing the patience game past that point. Final toxic, I would say, node. However you want to call it, the Fenrir utility has one of the most rambunctious names I've ever seen, so no one will ever call it that, I think, in history. We'll just call it the fear toxins. Toss another one out over towards that office balcony door just to try to keep Heroic at bay. The pressure is coming from Ivy Hall, and the players are already inside the house. The call is coming from inside. They're gonna have to aggress here very quickly. Ivy, control player for your Glass, gets quickly pressure off. June does get a nice crossfire shot with the 8K over towards Kanto. They do still have to worry. A live ping coming forward. With only 20 seconds left. If you continue to put the pressure on this player trying to go for this plant, you may be able to force them off. They've squeaked over past Piano. June, though, gets it down. It can go gun up, but still loses the fight. Just Officer now in a 1v2. The sniper is up and can't fire in time. Gotta connect the shots as Azar sends them to the afterlife, and the defuse will be doomed to go through for TT9.
A very hard situation to go through. All of the plant was there. The Fenrir expected the Ace to be hanging around the default half wall as he managed to take him out. The Ace did have poor timing on aiming away just for a split second. And with all that was left was just to go for a refrag game from the side of TT9 as they both peaked at the same time. And not even managing to take out one, the Glass was left cornered to his demise. Now we're going to be seeing also an interesting pick from TT9, which not only is deadly on its own and quite commonly banned and ranked for a reason. It's going to be the Mira going into downstairs, which normally commonly would just, you know, verticality go off of it, but yet again, it's not like the defenders are just going to allow you to play vertical so easily or without taking your own sacrifices on attack. We're going to be also seeing a bit of Brava action. I'm quite curious how it's going to turn out as we're seeing a Capcan, we're seeing a Fenrir. This is going to be very deadly for the defenders if they don't manage to pick through that drone. And we still have the Azami, you know, we still have the still Mira can't necessarily be hacked by, oh, never mind. Bravo seems to be switched over for Yana, which, fair enough, but at least we get to see some Cali.
You really only bring out the clutch drone if you know there's a Melusi on the board, right? Especially for an objective like down in basement. There's not very much you necessarily need to hack. You could be a little troll. Go ahead and, you know, hack a couple of the EDDs and use that against the opposition at TT9, but it's very niche. And the likelihood of you finding impact off of that is slim to none. It'd be better just to play an agent that or an operator. Sorry, now I'm stuck in Valorant. It'd be better to play an operator that has a little bit more impact past that little niche aspect. The Melusi Banshees using that against the defense is very nice. And it also means in the final 30 seconds when your team inevitably does push, you won't have to worry about being slowed on the attempted entry and getting caught out in the open for too long, which is an issue for a lot of attacking teams. But for Heroic, they are one away from match point here. Still looking to find that round to get them there. Has been gate kept for at least one, but TT9 have not really shown us anything too spectacular to a steed of any kind in my mind that they can get the job done. It's heroic to not only breach one wall, but two. Great job. Now three, I should change. Great job to make sure that there is no safety on A or B whatsoever. Almost all of TT9 is forced back into Blue Hall, and they've completely ignored the extinction up onto the first floor, as Heroic are taking a very direct approach in towards these sites, and it has given them a lot of success in terms of positions, but it hasn't netted them a kill, and they even lose first blood.
Yeah, Leonski taking advantage of the hatch yet again. The defensive really has it. Azar as well, getting taken out clean, the thermite of the team. The diffuser is not in hand, as Heroic will be taking out that secondary for one, maybe for two, as he's going to be getting challenged in a second by the Mirror. The Mirror does get it, and that's going to be a second kill. Looking nice for Leonski. Officer himself picking up one for his side. It's going to be Kendrew out of the match. Blaz right now pretty much blinded, and that's kind of the fear factor of the Fenrir. You can't fight back. The Bailiff coming out to finish the job. Officer now in a 1v3 situation with 1 minute plus, just a bit over 1 minute on the clock, and it's looking very tight. I mean, they took advantage of the hatch. They anti-played them on their own breach and managed to flank them while they were next to site, as the attackers were pretty much shut down in an instant, and TT9 not looking bad at all, managing to almost even it up already. I mean, Thatcher's gonna have a tough job trying to, deny those sites, not allowing any aim to come in to play, I guess you could say. He's gonna be taking his chances, but with that, he's just giving more intel. I mean, he's telling them, hey guys, I'm here. This is my EMP. I'm gonna yoink it at you. Maybe you can't see clearly your sights, but you still know I'm here.
Great rotate. Do your best to escape from there, officer. Fortunately, it's not going to work out in the end. You will eventually be dealt with by Kanto. They even typed in chat, swing Kanto, and in fact, they do. An interesting decision. Doing exactly what the opposition wanted. Maybe you should have rethought that one to at least a small degree. I would have at least gone a different direction, right? You don't really want to fight that player. Either way, TT9 will tie things up 5-5. They're one round away from their own match point scenario, but the difference lies here, Bob, in the fact that it's not just match point, it's series point. And they will go off against Make Your Destiny in the grand finals when that one goes underway. I'm very excited for that one as well, considering how tough Make Your Destiny has had here for the entire Titan series. They were in a group with two very dangerous and difficult teams, and they still managed to crawl their way out of it. You could argue even the third team was very difficult for them as well, though they did manage to take the win, and they had to face them twice, so they had to win against them another time. I think the finals would be a pretty nice match if you can get Heroic there, but the issue is Heroic have to survive to get there. It's not their title to claim since they lost map one. It's TT9's to hold on to, and they're keeping this one close. Production crew called out. Max OT on the next two maps. Will that one stay true? I don't know. I think the players are joking about it around it as well. Said if we don't start the game soon, we're just going to go to all maps and force you to sit here for longer. That's fine with me.
5 seconds left.
Like I said before, this is a job, but at the same time, it's also my favorite map. So,
Objective is
you do you.
I mean, yeah, most definitely. I mean, these teams are not only interesting to watch, but just seeing them play in general will be an interesting way to go about it. I mean, kind of seeing how both of these teams do well on their own maps, I could say, is going to be a way to go about it, as the third one could be a lot more interesting than what we've been seeing so far. And I mean, with that in hand, we're going to be seeing just, in general, a bit more of a slow play style as for happening now. Not much is going to be put into action. They do want to play it a bit more safely as for now. And with that, I mean, like we've said, these teams might as well just go into overtime. They could go on to the third map. It's very possible. TT9 has managed to, bring it back just for a bit, but it's the matter of will they be able to keep it up, as it's going to be Azor getting taken out. The first pick on for Heroic right now. It's going to be the captain, a deadly one as well. A second kill coming in, as it will be a trade off. A 2v4 looking for TT9. A very nice shot coming in from the Cade, and a 1v3 dropped on by the Havana, as we're going to be looking yet again. TT9 having a tough time, and at this point, I feel like it's going to be match point very soon.
Yeah, I don't know what Leonski's doing there. Hey man, we're coming to Fireplace Hall. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a player watching from stairs. You get to site, that may be the best play. Hold from there and use the advantage of having a defensive position to work from with all of your team's utility put in place. But instead, let's re-peek and perform a Kanto special of not realizing what your team's responsibility is at that point and trying to work from that more specifically. It is what it is. TT9 really got cut down to the seams. I think Heroic did a very wonderful job of having a good extension clear, or good roam clear. It was also TT9 being caught out of position. I don't think they expected Heroic to come in so swiftly. It caught TT9 off guard, and then their attempts to reclaim that space. You can think of it like coverage. I know you guys don't play American football. You can think of it like coverage in soccer. You want to have each... Let's say you're football. Think about coverage in football. You want to have each zone cover. You want to make sure a pass can't get through your defense, right? And you need to have zones, individual players covering those sections. For TT9, they had that. The Heroic came right into the middle, split them in two, and then had players caught off guard. TT9 couldn't recover. They were cut off, playing to die. And when that happens, 9 times out of 10, the team that manages to split them is going to find themselves victorious. That's why I said big window is so difficult to hold on to for the top floor, especially if you do not have a castle. Keep in mind, that is where we're seeing here in TT9 do not have the big boy himself, and instead are going to have to deal with the Blackbeard, possibly. No, thank goodness for Heroic. They actually have some self-confidence and self-respect. They're still going to deal with big window control, because I guarantee you Heroic's going to put a player on the rappel or in tower to make sure nobody can sit and T-fold easily upstairs on the second floor.
Yeah, I mean, it is very essential. Not necessarily essential, but still a very useful way to go about it. You do cut off a lot, and in general, just make yourself and your team have a bit of a better job at keeping angles and sidelines a bit more safe. Now, with that along, we're going to see also a bit of an extension as the first kill comes out onto Blazcanter with one of his own. And right now, looking very good. A very good early game from the side of TT9. They managed to take out a pair of nades. A double kill coming out as it's going to be the Aztec. And now that's the 2 frag-heavy operators. Now we have the defensive, a bit more defensive or utility-based operators having to go off at it for the main breach. And this is going to be a contest. I mean, they still don't have bad guns. They don't necessarily... You know, it's not like they have no fragging potential. That's not the clue, no. But it would have been better to go off without, you know, with... Actually, to better go with some nades, some ash charges to take out these zombies, because it's going to be very difficult pushing and forcing your way throughout them. Seeing that questionable frost, we could be seeing a bit of a cheeky trap coming in late game. But still, I mean, these attackers are having a very rough time. Heroic right now is looking not only tight, but just very close to getting shut down and choked out. I mean, these defenders are playing very turtle-based, very turtle strat, and another kill coming in from the side of the frost. It's going to be a 5v2, looking to be close to a flawless as action is starting to unveil itself.
Parker going in completely blind here, Bob. They have no information. They're down to 1 single drone that's already out, and the question is even if it's actually usable from the team. They have to go in with no util, no intel, and just pray that they can go guns up. And TT9 has proven many times that they are the better gunning team. And they still have that conclusion at the end of the day. Kanto obviously felt that a couple rounds prior. We saw TT9 go gun up in a couple of the defenses that obviously didn't go their way. But when they play the side to their advantage, like they did there, they play their roam game smartly and safely to make sure they get even frags and make sure they can actually escape past those pickups. They do a much better job on the defense. Heroic have no chance. It goes flawless for TT9's favor, and it forces OT now, with TT9 being able to play on the defense. I think this is a good half for TT9. Like we've said, that league is gone pretty much defender favored it. Heroic is seemingly complaining that there's supposed to be defense for their side, but they said it's okay. We'll have to see if they truly think that at the end of the day. Maybe TT9 win it and they get a little upsetty spaghetti, but you know, we'll see. It is what it is.
Upsetty spaghetti, what a term I haven't heard of. I'll keep that one in mind.
The big one in America. Not really.
Hey, it sounded great, man. You definitely put out the point there, but yeah, still, I mean, Heroic right now having not wanting attack on their first half, or at least when it comes to overtime as a role, I would necessarily agree that maybe since they're so close to already actually 1 match down and a couple of rounds, or actually 2 rounds away from losing, they might want to take that into consideration if they feel a lot more comfortable on it. But that's still fine, you know, if they feel fine, if they're like, okay, you know, it's our map, we're comfortable on this, we got this. Even if it's attack, we're still good, we're still better than TT9 right now. You know, they want to keep up that sort of morality, which is always lovely to see. And yeah, right now still some, you know, some little preparation from the side of the Fen, where we're getting a bit of an insight on how this map looks. You get a bit of a how would I say this, tour on Chalet. And yeah, I mean, with that, not much happening. Blast taking some heavy damage. And yet again, he seems to be going on for the early pick like he was the first one of this game. And Heroic still, they're not making too much progression until now. Kendrew getting taken out, and they're pretty much pushing into sight. The Ace gets taken out. A bit of a trade coming on to Azure. The SMG-11 in the hand. Actually, the SMG-12, my mistake, one number down. And the main breaches are pretty much out. So that is very good way too quickly about it. Not necessarily seeming to care for roamers.
Heroic can just circumvent the players on the extension. They don't have to worry about them whatsoever. Leonski does feel the pressure. It's going to be forced to drop down hatch. What a great swing coming out here, though. Nowhere is able to even things up by removing Blast. They'll break away their own Mira window. They don't want to have to deal with that. And they usually would have to keep a barricade there, but it's not there, and Norris doesn't need it. The MP at long range strips away the life from Skitty, and TT9 will find themselves at match point, series point here after taking the first round of OT's victory. I don't know what that comment there is for, Skitty, but TT9 are very happy with the conclusion. But now they need to go back to the attack that they haven't seen now for so many rounds. It's not even funny. 7 in a row. And they're going in blind. The same thing can be said for Heroic, but they just need to go through the stages. They have a standardized setup. They just need to place their defensive utility and then play to their strengths of their team because they had really nice defensive setups.
Oh, Inferno, this is looking bad. I mean, can we
Defenders
just
protect
get
your
some
bombs
points
and
straight?
defuse by attackers.
On Bank, which wasn't their map, they were 0-3, lost 7 rounds in a row, which is an entire map. And now they're on their own map, seemingly struggling slowly as they're looking 7-6. One mistake, one even minor mistake away from losing today's BO3. And not only BO3, but they're out. They're not competing in this league, or at least Titan Series number 4 for now, as they're not going to be continuing on to Grand Finals, and TT9 is just proving that not only, like you mentioned, are they better in gunfight, but they're just having a better way around these maps and how they play with it. And yeah,
5 seconds left before insertion.
yet again, I mean, TT9 looking very confident, looking very good. Going a bit more on attack, which could be proving a lot more difficult as they haven't been performing as well as they have on defense, I would say, at least from the side of, you know, early picks, I guess just in overall performance. But still, it's not possible, never too late to continue that streak. And I mean, I would say Heroic is looking very sharp right now. Or at least they need to. They are on their tippy toes, and yet again, major mistake, whatever it can be, as long as TT9 takes full advantage of it, they're looking very close. A C4 does come out, taking down Leonski, and it seems like most first picks have been the deciders of rounds.
A map like Oregon is typically decided by the team that makes the most mistakes. It's where good teams go to die, as any team can truly compete with the best of the best in a map that everyone knows. Chalet has fallen a little bit closer to that side, but it's still very much so dominated by teams that have a great understanding of what's going on. And unfortunately for both these teams, that happens to be the case for either side. TT9 lose first blood. They fraggered right back, though it does take them about 20 seconds to get the job done. Equalizing thanks to a 4-on-4. The biggest problem for TT9 is their lack of a roam denial in the hands there of Leonski for the Nomad, as well as now lacking the buck. It's going to be truly in the hands of the breaching charges as well as the hammer if they want to go towards any verticality, and that's not going to be the pressure that they're working with. They wanted to play first floor and break the floorboards from below with the skeleton key. With that now gone, the question arises, how do you get the job done? Well, it'll have to be with drones. They have plenty of nades, 4 in the back pocket that have not been utilized. All of the nades that they've kept and brought into this round are still on the board. They just utilized one from Kanto, unfortunately does not find the target they were looking for. Using those alongside a drone on that second floor, maybe able to snuff out a player alongside a live ping to try to remove their life from that apexed front. But TT9 are just struggling to find that foothold. With a kill they lost just recently, a 3 versus 3 is dangerous leading into the final 55 seconds here, Pop.
Oh, yes, it is. The nades are still on hand. We still have one on each Sledge and Yana, aka Kanto and Kendrew. They could use it to what they can, but it depends on really how effective it will be. One coming out, still not seemingly able to get a target, as Warden's going to be looking nice, safe, and sound. The peek comes out the piano window, as it's not going to be safe enough. Of course, the castle getting one. That's going to be the Yana. Actually, not the Yana. It's going to be Azar, I believe, getting taken out, or pretty much just in general making it worse for TT9 right now. They're looking very tough, not only on time, but the players and guns they have in hand. As of course, it's a 2v3 situation, 15 seconds on the clock, it's getting very tight. Both
15
pushing
seconds left.
from split, and they get taken out. That's going to be the Sledge Kanto left alone, and he will be joining him 6 foot under, as Heroic will be making sure they don't get taken out so easily. But now, this is the final round. This could be all for today, Inferno. I mean, it's really this close.
I'll point out the difference between TT9's attack and Heroic's average attack. Heroic, when it comes to the final 90, 60 seconds of a round, they typically have no drones available in the back pockets. Meanwhile, TT9 had quite a few still on the board that were able to be utilized, and most of them have not been destroyed. I think when it came to the final minutes, 3 or 4 was destroyed of the total 10 they bring into the round. Having that much available information not being utilized for the names like I mentioned previously, as well as just being able to clear out those roamers a little bit more impactfully, you're lacking the Nomad, so you fear the roamers. So you need to go out of your way to go after them and strike first. Don't let them strike fear into your back. Strike it into their face first and foremost. And TT9 just didn't do that. And now they've got to, reap what they sow. So they transition back over to the defense for the second time. They won it the first. And they have to repeat the same successes. They'll create a rotation hole over towards the master closet side. I had mentioned it previously. That is the go-to rotate to pivot over towards master bedroom. So you don't have to swing that solarium doorway as well as big window as often. I think for Heroic, they didn't go for the repel last time. They'd obviously switched off that Blackbeard. Maybe this is the round in which they do so, but they don't have the hammer. They don't have sledge. They did not bring a buck. They may be a little bit more reliant on playing once again through that solarium window as well as through trophy. I expect them to put a lot of pressure on this north side.
Yeah, I mean, they have the breaches along with the destruction in. I mean, we have the ashes, we have the Yana nades along with some just general hard breach destruction from the Ace and the Thatcher helping out. And of course, Widow could be all in hand just to kind of clear out any people pushing or get some sort of intel on roamers. It will be most definitely a good combination to go along with. Now it seems like the north side is getting pushed along with Solarium, so going a bit more split on these attackers. The first call comes out, but it's going to be TT9 with an opening pick onto the Ash. It's going to be Cream out of the match, and by no other than Kanto. MPX, a very Dudley gun, has been showing up a lot in just general. A very strong one to hard to keep up with as well. C4's coming out as it seems like Officer's going to be taking some heavy damage. He is on the repel like you mentioned, but is he going to survive for long enough? He has the diffuser, which is also a dangerous position. What a shot from the Frost, but he's going to get one! He gets second, and that's going to be Yana along with a Thatcher out of the match. Gets taken out very soon, but it's a 4v2 situation, and Norris will be doing a very great job and keeping up this stable position for TT9. The defenders are going straight into a very good victory. They don't have the EMPs for the Tokabi, and welp, it doesn't seem like it's going to be made breach for Heroic.
Making as much noise as humanly possible, Skitty has to move in quickly. Pulls out the SMG, manages to get down Kindrew, but the job's not done. Still a player hiding behind T towards Bathroom, and another one on the opposing side towards Master Benjer. Their long arm in big window cleared away effectively in the same fell swoop as 2 more teammates. The final strong arm for TT9 continues to exist as they lie in wait for Heroic to move into their loving arms. How long can Skitty lie in wait? Joom is trying to make as much noise as possible, has tried the mezzanine window, did not like the balcony idea through door. Needs to apply pressure through piano window, can't see much as it doesn't seem TT9 are giving them the look, nor the space to go with. And off screen, Skitty takes a shot for Master Bedroom. Joom will leap in through piano window as Azure decimates Skitty's life, leaving just Joom in the 1v3. Player in closet's been spotted, they'll have to hit the head. They line up for Tao, and Joom sends Heroic to map 3 out of nowhere.
Oh my goodness, what a shot from the side of Ace. You never would have expected it, but the Ace managed to clutch it up. Everyone just going into his bullets in a 1v3, turning all for the face of Heroic as they managed to bring it to round number 3, and all TT9 had to do was wait. And not only are they risking a loss, but they're risking just completely losing it all. Now, what My goodness. Some people would even consider me flabbergasted. Not only am I going to get a heat stroke from wearing a suit, but also from these shots getting fired as, oh, the production team surely is holding their heads. And not only that, but oh, we're going to scream internally for days to come. And with that, Inferno, I think we should let the analyzers, scream instead of us.
Absolutely.
Like I'm flabbergasted. I'm absolutely flabbergasted at what happened. I mean, it was in TT9's hands. I was getting ready in my notes, write down a nice 2-0, trying to think about what I need to talk about. It was a comfortable 2-0 for, I was quote unquote comfortable 2-0 for TT9, and out of nowhere, Yume coming in with a 1v3 up. I'm speechless, Resurgence. Just talk me through, man. What's happening? I need time to process this.
All right. After the first map ended up being initially a somewhat close affair until TT9 started running away with it. Here on the second map, it was a lot more of a back and forth. We could see that Heroic were consistently like roughly one step ahead in regulation. They were always just about ahead, but TT9 could always draw equal. They were always on their, directly on the heels of Heroic. They were directly behind them. And so whenever Heroic did something, TT9 would counter. That we saw that within the rounds, and we saw that reaching across different rounds. And so in OT, I don't know what to say. It was over. I wrote down. I quickly want to note. So the way that I note down opening kills is I write the beginning letter down. So I have a T for TT9 and an H for Heroic. And behind that, I write an L or a W, whether or not they convert the round off of the opening pick. I had already written down the W. I had already written that down. I had written the moment I had my pen in my hand, I looked up on the screen and I saw Joom find two people lining up and then connect onto the third, and I had to change my notes. And what? How do I even go about this?
I don't like calling things a throw, especially at this high level. You can never truly throw something. But it was just the stars just aligned, both the players. I mean, credit to Joom, he hit the nuttiest shots ever. Go and watch that back. I'm sure the replay will show up here soon enough. But the flake from the first guy to the second guy who lined up all the way onto the Warden who swung to get the refight, it was immaculate. The aggression just not paying off there. We could talk about that for hours. But, just take a step back, Resurgence. Let's go all the way back to some of the few earlier rounds. And why don't you just talk us through some of the maybe not as intense rounds at the start, let's just say.
I mean, certainly, we did have a lot of intense rounds. The entire matchup was a lot of back and forth. I mean, the trade game, I want to point out one round in particular. I think it was round 11. It was a lot of back and forth in that round. It was just every single one of the kills happened within like 15 seconds of one another, and the round was just over. So just Heroic and TT9 would find openings, but they would also punish one another when those openings were found. The aggression from Heroic this time around was a lot better, and that's something that I want to touch up on in terms of opening kills, because this time around Heroic did a lot better. They were the ones that most often were the ones finding the opening pick, and the conversion rate is similar to map 1. We have roughly 70% of rounds. When you get the opening pick, you're also able to close it out. And so Heroic this time around, I see a landslide here on their attacking half. They won pretty much every single opening engagement except for like one round. And so Heroic a lot more firmly in control on their own map pick, but TT9, the fact that they were able to keep it this close, and I mean, something that I want to point out is Noah on the scoreboard, because Noah nearly got a clutch, and you'll talk about that, but 20 kills, a 20 bomb. That's unheard of between two teams in T1. I mean, the last time I've seen that was Alamo at a LAN event.
It's a lot of kills, 20. That's like, if you do the math, it's around, I think, 1.2 or 1.3 kills if you go over every single round overtime. I think. Don't quote me on that. My math is probably a little bit off. But it's over at least 1 kill a round and averages out to around 2 kills every few rounds. So it's a lot to put into perspective. And the way they lost that game, I mean, okay, we'll get back to that later, but let's just go a bit further back, because there was definitely a round that I want to talk about especially, and that was, of course, that 1v1 clutch with the Oryx and Noah on the Buck. I'm not sure exactly who was on the Oryx, so do forgive me. I'm sure the clip will play in a second for you, so you can have a
It
look
was
at
Blaz.
it was Blaz on the clutch, and it was such a big win play. So, okay, I'm gonna just take a step back, right? Let's just put yourselves in the shoes of Noah. You're in a 1v2, you get the first kill and make it into a 1v1. And now you just have to plant the diffusers. You have a lot of time still. You have around 45 seconds left, I believe. You have a lot of time. You know in the general vicinity of the player or the enemy player. So you just have to plant the bomb and play off the sound and you get the kill. What Blaz does is instead of playing that one, he goes upstairs because he knows about the vertical angles. He knows that basically nowhere on the site is safe. He has a secondary shotgun in hand. It's such an easy thing for him to use. You can see here on the screen as well, exactly right here. He goes up, he uses the Oryx dash. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he baits the sound so that the buck knows that he's above. So the plant would actually never go down. And now Noah, he's on such low HP, he literally cannot afford to get hit even once through the floor. So he's trying to bait the shot, but Blaz, he's so patient. He's so methodical. He doesn't want to give away anything. He plays it almost perfectly, shooting through the floorboards. He has info, right? The info on the side of when the buck will be planting. And the time just ticks down more and more and more. He never fully commits, but he never makes Noah feel safe enough that he can stick the plant. And in the end, it was just a brilliant clutch from Blaz.
Yeah, there was so much time left on the board, but thanks to the information on site, Blast was able to waste all of that time. And so, despite Noah getting a 4K in that round, and my heart breaks for him because not only did he get 20 kills in that match, but that was a 4K, and it was a 1v1. It would have been an ace clutch if you would have been able to find like a way to either stick the diffuser down or to bait Blaz out. But as you mentioned, Blaz just so patient on that round. And it's something that I want to comment on him since we're talking about Blaz in that 1v1. He had a bit of a struggle on map 1. He was picked off very early a lot. And I saw that same trend continue because he was picked off early in one of the rounds here in the first half as well. And he was going 0-3 at some point, and I was worried that Blaz was going to continue having this performance, but he eventually warmed into it, and I think this 1v1 was a big contributing factor to him warming up into this game. He played it properly, he was able to win out the round just on time, playing the objective properly, and after that, he started getting opening picks, he started getting involved in more aggressive gunfights, he was able to play more to his comfortable entry side, because Joom is getting a lot of these entry picks, even though he's playing on Ace, he's just playing Heartbreach Fragger, but Blaz on this map was able to finally get into the action. I think that's the one thing that we were missing out of Heroic on map 1, and I think despite Joom being the one that obviously carried us all the way into map 3 with that beautiful 1v3 clutch in the last round, you gotta commend Blaz, because I think without Blaz, Heroic might have lost in regulation, and so it definitely is a carrying factor for us going to map 3 now.
True. I mean, Resurgence. It was a resurgence coming out from, I feel, Heroic here. Who, I mean, Reappearance. Let me know, right? What do you actually think, compared to map 1? How was the team play of Heroic? What did they change? What did they improve? Because we can definitely see that they were going more toe to toe with TT9 and actually being able to fight them like head on head and play a lot more refight game, which you saw. It was a beautiful thing as a viewer to just be able to witness. Even though they're a little bit delayed, they always isolate the gunfights, always make sure they get the trades. It's immaculate seats to be able to watch that. But I just want to ask you, what were the things that Heroic really did or changed that made them such a different beast to what they were in the first map, where they were just really struggling?
That's a good point, and I think I have a somewhat decent answer to that, because I think the deciding factor both for why Heroic were more competitive in this match, and I think also a factor why TT9 were less competitive, especially on their attacking half, which we could see in some of the rounds, is because of the information game. I think on Bank, Heroic struggled a lot with understanding where their opponents are, what their opponents are going for, and using information to get kills. There was some C4 kills very early on that they used, but there wasn't a whole lot of information, and Valk was banned out in that game. It was banned out again here. Valk really an operator that they don't want to play, but on Bank they struggled with info, and it was the opposite here on Chalet, because again the Blast 1v1 came down to information on site. And there was an abundance of information from Heroic in this entire game, and that was a trend that I could see here on Chalet, which gave them a lot more picks and a lot more control over what they wanted to do, because they just had a better understanding of where TT9 was at any given moment. And on the flip side, TT9 had an issue with droning properly on this map, despite Solus being banned out, which makes it impossible to drone Chalet, by the way. Solus is a must ban on this map, or you cannot drone. You're going in blind completely every single time. But despite Solus being banned, it was still very difficult for TT9 to get proper droning information. I think that Heroic did a slightly better job of that. And a slightly better job of shutting that down as well. And so I think that's what kept them competitive in this game, and that's what made them ultimately come out on top here in this 8-7.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the drone problem because I think there was one round, and especially it was I can't remember exactly what round it was, but it was a 3v3. There was around a minute and a half left. I think it was around where he called out they had 4 nades. Obviously, Inferno, our lovely recaster, about how they had to do the nade game. But if you look at the drones, they only had 2 or 3 drones left, and those are all already pre-placed, not in the pocket. They were placed in positions to probably watch the flank, so they didn't really have any kind of information. You can see your Kanto. He was walking up, I think it was wine cellar stairs, and he's just coming up trying to see if he can get any picks. Yet he was just going in blind, praying that someone makes a mistake. No one did. I think it was Officer playing in dining. He played it well, as well as a warden, who I'm not really sure here. This is why we need the clips, because sometimes you just forget. But all in all, generally, they just knew that. I mean, they just didn't have the information to be able to act on any of the free ones. I said free ones because it was very difficult for those players to be refragged, which made it very difficult for TT9 to attack, especially in that late round. And you can see it, they got picked off one by one, and that was a solid heroic round for the end.
Yeah, I think one last round to wrap this up, and then we'll throw it to a break. Just want to quickly mention how explosive the matchup between these two is, because what we see a lot of the time is multi kills. There's so many multi kills. We have Joom, we have Blaz, we have Kayak and Skitty, all of them in the server, and all of them are very capable of hitting their shots. And so these multi kills and these explosive double kills, most of the time we saw trades that went not 1 for 1, but 2 for 2. We had one multi kill going one way and another the other way. And so you can just see that these teams are not afraid of clashing with one another. They're absolutely not afraid to take the fight to one another. And I hope that that continues on Clubhouse.
True. I mean, we've talked a lot, and there's so much you could say, especially about that very last round. But you saw what happened. I don't think there's anything you could add. Jume was insane. I don't even know how to pronounce his name anymore because my brain is short-circuited. But that's all from us at this analyst desk. TT9, they had one hand on the trophy, but they may have let it slip a bit too far. And this mistake could appear to be very costly to them, because they could be losing this final map. And I'm sure if they lose that final map, they're going to be kicking themselves, because they had it all the cards in their hand, 1v3, and they threw it away. So that's all from us at this analyst desk. We'll be right back after a short break for map number 3 Clubhouse. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Where is it written that all our dreams must be small? Where is it written that all our dreams must be small?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Map number 3, Clubhouse. I'm sure I don't need to remind you what happened on the last 2 maps. If you missed it, I highly recommend you go back and watch it because we've probably solved the play of the tournament. I mean, it has to be the play of the tournament. It was insane. But enough of that. I'm super hyped up. We've waited long enough. You've been chat waited long enough. Screw the analyst desk. I'm taking control. We're going to go straight to the casters. Let's go all the way in. Bob, Inferno, take it away. Map for your Clubhouse.
Oh god.
Hashtag casters start game. Taking it a little too literally there, I think. But yeah, I agree. We've been ready for a little bit. We're ready to get things underway. Hashtag blame the players, not us. It's definitely not their fault. It's definitely us. But we're going to get them underway. After a big waffling section for our analysts, they had a lot of good breakdown points there, Puff. I think a lot of them are very valid. It's hard to go wrong when there was so much going on in that map. Finally got one that went to OT. And now we get our final map, which is another banger. That's the hope, at least.
Yeah, I mean, that last round on Chalet could, get an own section of it. I mean, just, the ending was quite unexpected, to say the least, but also a bit of a continuation happening on to Clubhouse as these, yet again, this is a very big clash of these great teams. And with that, I mean, TT9 won their map, Heroic won their map with, I don't want to be the one to say it, but with a bit of cheekiness from TT9 there at the end, being at a 7-7, 1v3, they had it, but Ace was most definitely not having it as he just shut the modem all down one after another, and yeah.
It is what it is. I think they said it during the analyst list. They said, you don't want to say it's a throw because, it's, teams, it's pro teams. Pro teams can throw, right? The mistakes can happen, and that was a big mistake. You line up the first 2, follow him with the third. It's just straight 1v1, and they were already firing, so they have the advantage because their gun is already letting loose the lead. It happens. Clubhouse, we hope, will be at least a different beast in that regard. No big mistakes. But again, this is a map that is eerily similar to maps like Oregon. It's super commonly played, especially in the amateur scene. It's where good teams will go to die. Anyone can compete on it. But like we've said multiple times throughout the day, all of these teams are good. These are great talents. TT9 and Heroic. They faced off in Gamers Without Borders. They did very well within it. Heroic shut down TT9 at the time, but it looks like TT9 were this close to coming away with the victory here and moving on into the grand finals and expected to take the win. But anything can happen because apparently Heroic still wants to give them a run for their money.
Oh, and they're doing so correctly. Right now, just managing to keep up the score, and with a 1-1 match right now, we're going on to the decider. The best of this best of 3 as we're going into the bands quite nice and simply, seemingly getting a buck, which, for the amount of verticality this map can bring, not only from below, let's say around the side of lounge, or you could even say stock onto CC, but also kitchen being very heavily contested around there on vertical sides, which still allows some space for sledge. And the second map, or actually the second operator, Nook is not a map, being taken out is going to be the one named Nook. And with those nades and the amount of, positioning advantages she has and with the amount of sneakiness she brings along onto the attackers, she will be definitely a good pick. Now, with Solus already taken out, it's either Solus or Azami, and with that, I mean, most commonly it's been a lot more Azami. Let's be honest. You still want to put some pre-placed drones, you still want the utility to be kept in, and you want the Azami for yourself just in case, because she makes it that much better. And Solus is going to be getting joined by Fenrir, and yeah, Fenrir, again, these are a bit more narrow spaces you have to fight through, and especially downstairs, you have these long hallways you have to go through. Even on rafters, you have these, like I said, these long, bit more narrow spaces you have to crawl through. And Fenrir, oh, is he just the perfect one for that? As we're going to be going into the pretty much best site you can consider it. That's going to be Church and Arsenal.
When you start off at a map like this, you really want to set the tone early in the basement's really a great objective to do so. You can worry about outside halls. You can worry about dirt ton, where we currently see Skitty, I believe, currently just trying to lock that one in. That is Kayak. I got that wrong. Eventually we'll get that right, man, I swear. Dirt is an angle that not a lot of teams do opt to go for on the attack when pressuring, but it is something you're still going to open up and apply early pressure to. Whether or not you actually use it in the later stages to actually take control of the side or not is up in the air. But like I mentioned before, TT9 like to poke at certain angles to force Heroic's defense to spread themselves out very thin, and then they like to take advantage of those weak holes and just peer straight through the back line of the Heroic defense. TT9 did a good job of that on our last map. They did a wonderful job of it on our first map. And here's hoping it's not a game of de-escalation, just get worse throughout the series, because these players are ready to go. I don't think it's a battle of attrition for them. I think it's just going to be a matter of how is Heroic on this map? It's the final map of the ban phase. How can they truly play against it? I have not seen Heroic on this map throughout this season. I don't have any way to say.
Yeah, it's not much we can go off of here, but it really comes down to what mistakes are made and how the opposite team takes advantage of those. That's going to be the first shot, the first kill of this round coming onto Norse by the one and only, getting the refrag quite quickly. Juma's going to be getting taken out by Azor. A very quick reaction on how your teammates were taken out. Blue going in for that drone, but taking some damage as right now the Valkyrie, aka Heroic, is not looking too good. Kentro getting taken out. Green following up a 3v3, a trade you could call it, or yeah, again, a very close refrag. And yeah, this is looking a lot closer than these two previous maps, but these teams are taking advantage of these refrags and making sure that they are able to secure them. As that's, I mean, that's how it's been playing out, and that's how Heroic has managed to keep up their pace, at least for the previous one. As the first round on back, or the first round of match on bank, was not looking as good as these refrags were not so open.
Yeah, they at least work for it a little bit harder in comparison. That's going to be an issue. Map of Clubhouse has some very tight corridors you have to work from. That's another reason why you see Fenrir getting banned. You don't have to worry about the fear toxins. Very annoying piece of you too when trying to work in these corridors where every single corner has the possibility of a player lying in wait. Gemini Replicator was tossed out by Kanto. It will be cleared away eventually, though Officer was not the player to do so. Could not collect themselves with a shot, leading him towards main stairwell. Yatsky using the X-Kairos pellets finally to deal with Hatch inside kitchen. 9 times out of 10, that is the point of entry for teams in towards the basement, but they still need a tertiary angle to work from. And I think Secret is going to be the strategy of choice. Whether they take that from inside Pantry Hatch or they go down the Secret stairwell itself, they'll need to clear out Blue. And it seems like Heroic have mostly given up on that angle, except for Blast holding in a spot where they will have to die if they want to make it back to site, crossing in front of TT9's players. The TT9 cannot make a decision. They have no idea where they want to head from. Kanto still lying on the stairwell, finally sees one cross objective all the way over towards Church. Officer takes a huge lick of damage, a hasty retreat made back into the action. It doesn't work out. Heroic Blast just away 1 second to their name as Skitty finds the final pickup. What a round for Heroic in the final few moments.
Shutting down TT9 completely. It was a 1v3. Actually, it was a 3v3, but all of a sudden the hatch drop comes in. People push Blaz, putting him in a bit of a tighter situation as he's not going to be taking it so lightly. SMG-11 in hands, he gets 1. He got the 2nd. And of course, with the Habana having nothing left but to try and go for those refrags, getting a double or a triple for herself, got shut down unexpectedly in a very nice finish on Heroic. Seemingly, they have been picking up the pace just a bit better on this map, and a lot faster to say the least, as we're going to be heading to gym. And, you know, with Sledge open and Buck out of the match, you do want to acknowledge Castle will be as viable here. Like we mentioned, or at least you, Inferno, mentioned on Chalet, you know, having the Sledge on hand does make the castle a bit less useful. Okay, you waste some time, you put the Sledge in a bit of danger, maybe even put him at a risk of death. But still, those castle barricades become almost nothing more than useless when that pretty much, you could call it a very dangerous hammer, is in sight. Now, even without the castles, Norris is going to bring out the Sledge one way or another, and we're going to be seeing double breachers. So I'm just going to straight up go, they're going to push CC, they're going to go for Jacuzzi. It's going to be the same old, you know, just split push, take over, and make sure that rotation isn't as easily accessible as with the other site. Now the idea is coming in pretty clutch, although CC will be having some extension. We can't forget about that. Leonski does get the opening kill onto Cream, as it's going to be Legion another match, and a very nice pick to say the least. And yeah, we're going to have to see how this cash hold is going to go for these defenders.
For an operator that's util charges over time, getting rid of them right off the rip is very nice for the TT9 side. Unfortunately, Kayak's presence has not been a huge factor for the side of Heroic. Not a make it or break it operator for their team. They're mostly using it as a chance to pounce. Almost like an intel up, but not exactly like an intel up. More like an opportunity up, you would say. Whether or not TT9 will see that they've taken down a Legion and try to work from there, time will tell, but they'll get the job done with a little bit of utility instead of guns in their hands. Nade tossed out, it takes down Skitty, and there falls Blast quickly after the fact from the L85 newer. Choom's gonna make a run out, catches Azur on the drop, no chance to fire it back, and a 4v2 now up still for TT9, but it won't go flawless to this point. Officer on the flank from below, sees one, spots a second, and rips down both Kanto and Norse. The 2v2, Heroic have climbed back into this round. Officer still on the central stairs flank, prowling. Do they know? Has the default cam been cleared? It has. They won't know he's in Logi just yet here. They're low now. With Leonski taking down Joom, it's just Officer forced for a 4K, and it's not gonna happen. Kindrew, the 8K, removes the player on Stairwell and will save grace for the TT9 side.
Using Logi pretty much just a way of transport to get inside without the Jaeger being a challenge. I mean, right there, it was Jaeger. He got the double kill on main stairs once, but he was not able to do it again as he was shut down instantly, the AK-12 in hand. Not much of a challenge for the Ace to finish that job. And, you know, the side was under their control, and it was a 1v2. A very hard situation to just go off of in general. Now, it seems like TT9 is going to be discovering their first round as well, as we're looking like a bit of a repeat as on Chalet. It's looking like the results are very similar. I mean, we're having 1-1 right now on the score, which doesn't necessarily mean much. But for the following rounds, I mean, all rounds one will count, and they will count dearly, as I mean, oh, Chalet, they would have counted a lot more for TT9 on that last one, and I'm going to bring it up as many times as I need to, as you know, it's still been playing in the back of my head on loop, on repeat, as we're gonna be going on to CC, which, you know, I'm gonna ask this just out of your own opinion, Inferno. What would you prefer, CC or Buck?
5 seconds to insertion.
That's actually a good question. It's very funny to me because anyone that I've ever casted with for any extended period of time knows my vehement hatred for CCTV.
Oh god!
It's like the easiest objective on this map for an attack. It's horrendous. And it used to be, when this map initially got its rework, it used to be very defensive favorited. But with new operators coming into the pool and the playstyle changing and just the map in general being known a lot better, big thanks to coaches and strategists out there, attacking wise, it's a lopsided affair. Defensively, this objective sucks. And Heroic have their money cut out for them to deal with this. I like what TT9 are bringing to the table. I also don't like the objective of Bar, but, you know, do what you can. TT9 trying to work out on the outside eastern mezzanine. It doesn't work out for them here. Great run out from Joom. A good little bit of an assistance after the fact, and it's just 2 remaining for TT9. You know, it's a defender favorited objective if you just get kills first, right?
You know, fair point if you manage to get a triple kill from one peek out of Garage North. and making it a 4-2 situation. You're right, it's most definitely defender situational. As, you know, you do have a point. Getting main breach, which CC depends on very much and very heavily, so easily since you don't have much sources to play off of as a defender to the outside, especially with Valkyrie cameras not being able to detect the outside itself or having them be outside for longer than 10 seconds. CC is very easy not only to breach, but then push from construction, push from below. If there's a bandit, you have the drone hold, you have verticality on it. So that's a very hard way to go about it as a defender. Doesn't matter though. Joom won't be carrying much as he's going to be taking that MPX and he's going to be taking it gladly and managing to make it a bit of an easier score as, oh my goodness, he will be getting taken down not too long after mentioning him. Kanto will be taking up the challenge and avenging his fallen comrades, if you will. And with 1 minute on the clock, this is looking very tight, but yet again, TT9 looking way worse than they are. A 1v4, Joom still not fully out, and Azar pretty much almost seeming at a loss.
There's not much you can do. You have to play single engagements. Heroic are seemingly trickle feeding them kills. Azar is just going to eat up where applicable. Does not know a player's lying on the soft side of that wall connecting towards Jim. I think Azar has been spotted in their pivot through Jim and will get pressured quickly by Blast, which leads to the 3K here for Azar. An ace must be required. But with 25 seconds ticking away, Azar is quickly running out of time and options to progress forward into this site. No util bar, one breaching round. It seems to be they'll shoot it here early to try to clear away any util placed on door. A nitro cell was prepped. It is detonated early. Swing from red stairs likely, but it's not going to happen first as it seems to be Skitty lying on top of fan desk to lie in wait for the final frag. A close call still for the heroic side, and that just shows how difficult that objective can be. With easy access from the outside and construction to be easily accessible for a lot of teams. TT9 obviously struggled, required a couple gunfights, but it still was too close for comfort. TT9 though will inevitably take the loss of the round.
Yeah, I mean, we had right now Joom gambling for that 3K, and he won big to say the least, as it was a pretty much confirmed round for them, as not only did it take out much utility, but 3 players along with it put it under his belt. And with the Ash, aka Azar, being left alone in 1v3 or in 1v4, you can even say, not much to go around. I mean, it was close. He managed to get it a 1v2 push, or attempted to push the player or the Azami, I believe it was on top red. Did not go through with it as of course he got shut down. Like you said, fantastic. No one expects it because, I mean, it's gonna be hard to notice that someone can be there. It's not a common angle, which people do consistently go up
10
against.
seconds to go.
So with that in mind, it's gonna be a quite nice round going to Heroic, and
5 seconds left
TT9
before insertion.
not looking like they've been favored on the side of CC. You know, you said you despise it. Well, TT9 surely does too now. Because of course, Heroic not looking too bad. I mean, their frags and opening picks are looking good for them as well. But we aren't seeing as much aggression. I'm starting to spot a bit more protective playstyle. You know, there's no spawn peaks. There's no these runouts. Okay, the Valkyrie, you could consider that. But besides those really risky plays that could end up huge, we don't see much spawn peaks.
I think it's just a matter of respecting what the opposition has been bringing to the table. TT9 opted for a couple spawn peaks in our last map. Rogue did the exact same thing, and a lot of the times it didn't work out. It's pre-fire, sometimes it did. But inevitably, the round was won and lost in the final 30 seconds of 90% of those rounds. Only a couple that went flawless in nature, where it was pretty much pace dictated from the beginning. TT9 find not just first blood here in this round, though, as we're back into this map at hand. They'll take a second one to the wayside. Joom and Kayak removed from the equation. Officers forced to put matters in their own hands. Does deal with Kanto. Do they know a player's inside of stock? And no, they do not. Azar hiding in corner. Officer relegated to drone duty. And unfortunately, as a defending player, you're stuck to defaults, and TT9 has left you none of those to utilize for your team.
Oh yeah, right now Blaz and Heroic pretty much left alone. The smoke canisters are still present, all 3 of them as a matter of fact. But the players on TT9 are still heavy, bloodlusted, ready to not repeat any mistakes as on Chalet. And with 1 minute and 20 on the clock, we still have flashes and we still have much utility to go around as these hatches are open and ready to be used as lines of sight. Right now, Valkyrie and Smoke, I mean, they're holding on tightly, and they still have stuff like barbed wire to help them out. They most definitely have some cameras. Not anymore, not at least on bottom main. Soft Breach is coming out to play, but College is going to be a bit difficult to work around. And with that, that's going to be, of course, the Valkyrie getting taken out. Blast right now alone, starting to let the smokes out. And yeah, with that amount of resources he has, he gets one, is low on HP. They'll make it a 2v1. But quite good on time. TT9 is starting to progress down. He doesn't expect it. And that's going to be Azar finishing the job from main stairs, taking out the smoke, and managing to even up the score yet again.
That was a little bit faster for Blaz's approach. Maybe it would have gone the other way. Azar was still in the woes of removing the needle from their heel. No one's Achilles here, though, and TT9 will survive the damage done to their epidermis. Ties things up 2-2. Round 5 now ready to go underway, and the defense will head back up to gym and bedroom. This objective tends to be really good for the defensive side. Issue is there's a lot to approach from it, right? You got to worry about jacuzzi wall. You got to worry about dealing with construction presence from window. We bring out an OSA on the attack. You can place an OSA window inside construction. You can put claymores outside both windows for jump out on highway. And you deny the possibility of the run out that we saw in round 1 or 2. I believe it was in round 1. Because of that, attacking teams will opt to do so more specifically when pressuring in towards CCTV when it's that objective at hand. But it doesn't mean it can't be utilized here for this side either. You gotta take control of cash. It's where defending teams like to extend to. You need to get construction control. You can drop down logic, and if they've opened up that construction softball leaning over towards logistics, then you have the angle to try to assert dominance, cut off cash and work from there. But then you have to watch 2 swings. Technically, you have to watch 3 swings if you really want to be, stuck here. You got to watch main hallway swing for door of Logi. You need to watch the wall itself, which then connects to door to cash, as well as door into master bedroom. It's too dangerous. You got to go very front on approach. And if you're going to do that, you typically split things up 2-2-1 for a default split. 1 on highway, 2 taking jacuzzi wall for the initial breach, usually pivot 1 over, and then 2 inside construction, aka from CCTV through cash, and then from that point onwards.
Yeah. And right now, I am quite interested in what officer could be bringing, sneaking in, Harry Potter, ready to shoot his shots. But it seems like the attackers won't be bringing much attention to Garage as for now. Jacuzzi seemingly being the main spot of operation. The breach comes out. I also see the Ying, which could be a late game fear for these defenders. They do have the Warden in play, but the question will be making it as far as to be able to counter that gadget. Now the Zami is still in hand. She still has those charging barriers ready to be deployed at any time. And the Mirror is also a very deadly one. She gets taken out by the Ace. Not too early enough for the Mirror, or actually the Zami, to take out the breadloaves from the Ace to, help out the Mirror window. But in the meanwhile, still managing to, break some sort of utility. And that's Ace's gadgets pretty much all out, along with Thermites. No more hard breaches coming in. And now this is where it kind of starts to get split up. I mean, we still have Officer ready. Leonski taking some heavy damage from the CC window. A very tough thing to go through. I mean, CC window is just in general a bit of a high spot. As of course 2 kills come out from TT9. The plant is going down. The 1 gets dropped onto Neuros, meaning the Ying is out, but also the Warden is still in play. Kenshu does get it off, and, well, the plant is down. Leonski gets 1 4v2. A 2 kill from the C4, and now it's all up to these defenders.
Kayak, huge nitro to get your team back into the fight. Diffuser down, though, is a good spot for TT9, but damage being stripped away from their life pool. Officer alongside Kayak. Officers isolated away from their teammate and will fall to Azur because of it. Azur from inside construction leaps out the window, making their great escape out into highway. You got 1 man left for both sides, and Azur has a lockdown visual on that diffuser. You're not stepping near it. That's mine for the taking. What better gun to do it with than the G36C? TT9 find themselves a round win and will climb above Heroic. Going 3-2 in our split, but a 3-3 is still highly possible for Heroic as they repeat back to CCTV and cash, where they had an egregious start against TT9 with a run out through garage door, finding 1 player at door itself, failing to watch the cover, and then 2 players up on the Axer Eastern subroof. If that is allowed once again for TT9, might as well hand Heroic the even half.
attackers need to locate and defuse
Yes, most
bombs.
definitely. Now the question that's still standing is, will TT9 be having it? I mean, you know, Heroic did take their sweet bullets and managed to put them in the dots, connecting them all together, and managing to take away CC with ease. The problem here is I don't think TT9 will be just letting them have their way as easily now, as Zoom is back on the Valkyrie, which could be seemingly. I'm just gonna point out that C4 is looking quite sweet as of current, even on the Bandit. So maybe
10
we're gonna be
seconds
seeing
left before
yet
insertion.
another bit of a double, a triple kill maybe.
5 seconds left
But
before
yet again,
insertion.
TT9, I don't think they're gonna be so. They're gonna be a lot more cautious,
Attackers must
should I say,
locate and defuse
as
the
they're gonna
bomb.
be ready for any type of thing like that to happen. I mean, the aggression isn't necessarily always expected, but it will be now. As they're taking some damage, questionably, was it maybe a spawn peak, maybe not. As right now, if TT9 take this map, or not this route, making it a 4-2, rolling out to defense would be preferable, and especially with them being a bit better on performing on defense, could be better. Kanto does get shot out through the drone hole, as Joom, yet again, he's seemingly taking all the chances he can get, but won't be able to take it out. The main bridge does get picked, as the Bandit coming in clutch.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble how quickly you can place the Bandit batteries, which wall it needs to go on to. TT9 have lost that bet, and that's a huge issue. One exothermic charge wasted, and how often can you wait for the second? They can put a Selma on one side of the wall. Go for the breach. I think that's in fact what they did. Try to bait out an exothermic on the opposing side, or maybe they just tossed two and were waiting for the Bandit trick to go to either side. At least gives you an opening. Keep a barricade does lock things out for now, but TT9 are in a good enough spot that they can just melee that away and not have to worry about it for too much longer. Drones leaping in towards that Logi half on top of roof. They're going to try to clear out all of the western side of this map. One player inside Gym. If spotted, could be a huge problem for the side of Heroic. They will escape from there for now. Pretty hasty retreat made. Good timing for them. TT9 having the player in Gym really gave them a soft spot for damage through the wall, but live ping was just a little bit too slow. Kanto still working outside Hall. It just feels like too slow of a push from TT9. They're walking into the final 70 seconds here, Puff, and they haven't found a kill till just now. Azur, headshot galore, takes down Kayak, and have now garnered the man advantage.
That's going to be the captain of the board, and not too much time to go off of these attackers need to start
Attackers have
progressing
located a bomb.
slowly, but you need to pace that up. Now, with that, I mean, they still have the man advantage, yes. They still have main breaches open, yes. Line of sight is most definitely cut. But Blaz actually taking that pixel peek on the window does get shut down, almost not being out of the game yet, and still with the C4 in hand could be a deadly way to go through. Now he's going to be bandit tricking the main construction wall, which is a good way to go about it. Not fully, though. He gets taken out. A 5v3 Jaeger coming out. A double kill, a triple kill from Heroic, making it a 2v3 unexpected. You know, Norris getting one for himself, evening up the score 2v2 as 20 seconds is on the clock and the Jaeger is fighting for his life. He gets one triple kill for Officer. Wallbang comes out and a double kill from TT9. The L85 and a deadly gun at least as proven. And TT9 making it a 4-2 score at Infernal. This is not looking good as they're switching over to defense.
I'm insulted. I'm insulted for TT9 there. You gave them no justice, Puff. A double wall bang to close out the final kill. Disappointed.
Yeah.
Disappointed. You gotta highlight that. You gotta scream. I'm shocked I have to scream out loud. It's not even my turn to cast.
I would scream. I want to, but
It is late where you guys are. It is later where you guys are. It's
no,
only
it's
3
my
p.m. for me,
parents.
so.
It's my parents were already knocking on
Yeah.
my door. I was.
It's only 3 p.m. for me, and I live in a separate place from my studio. So
All right.
Here, I'll take it out. I'll take it out.
Next time something happens, I'll scream for you, even if I get evicted from the house.
Gotcha. Let me know when you get evicted. I'll laugh. TT9, right in the high of that victory. A very impressive round. I was going to point out they had no variation in where they were pressing from. They needed to step away from both players being inside construction. I don't know why the player that was initially on Logi window, sorry, not Logi window, initially on CCTV window, had stepped in through to construction with their teammate. It was a bad decision, and they needed to step into the actual CCTV side instead, or lap all the way around, which they had no time to do, and take control of that eastern subroof and work in from Big Breach. That way you can control red stairs, as well as a player coming in from construction to get control of cash. TT9 lacking that was a big problem. They were saved by the wall bang right off the rip. And that is something that is miraculous in nature and you can't rely on. That's a round that should have gone to heroic in the end. TT9 didn't play it perfectly, but I'm sure they're happy with the result. What they're not happy with, however, though, is their Mozzie Pest wielding Mozzie already dead. Kenaraketo, you can't go for a spawn peek and fail this early. You gotta set the tone right off the rip. And you said it the other way as heroic get a free first blood.
Oh, yes, they do. Kanto getting taken out. That's going to be the Mozzie off the board. And a very good start for Heroic yet again, but it's seeming the question. Will they be able to keep it up? Will they be able to get another one after another? Maybe even keep up with the refrags? And, I mean, it has been seeming that way, like TT9 has been keeping up a lot more than they have. They're on attack now. It's seeming the Wolves have swapped as Azar gets one, and it's going to be the ace. It's going to be Cream. A very useful aspect to go along with it, and kind of returning the favor for Kanto, not allowing their teammate to be taken out so easily. Heroic getting joined up. 6 foot under. Nor's going to be getting one for himself. The Nature slowly starting to come out. Kendrew taking some damage, but won't be getting taken out so easily. Standing his ground. The drop comes on to blue. June maybe getting a very tense stop as a double kill comes out. A refrag instantly onto blue, and another one coming out from Leonski. As now it's a 3v1 for Heroic, seemingly having a good start, but not being able to keep it up.
It's a bad spot for Heroic to be in. Officers left all by their lonesome. What can your coach do? They'll have to guide themselves with whatever strategy they've been wielding in the back pocket. A lot of time you worry that a team necessarily has been reading the strat book. May not be an issue. We created the strat book. But officer, I don't know if you have enough pages in the back of your book to make up for this one. They're feeling the pressure and that drip on your black ice gun. I don't think it's going to be enough to save the day. They'll have to pivot outside, move through the central hall. They are, in fact, the wrong gray up. They are not Sledge. They are a Thatcher. They cannot break down those floorboards, and that's a big problem for the attempt to clear out and control space. TT9 finding those frags very quickly over towards blue. I just don't like that idea from Heroic to push so quickly. Just freeing up to a trickle frag after trickle frag for TT9. 3 players in a 3v1. It's expected to fall in favor of TT9. Officer will go prone. You can almost act as if this is a timeout to talk things through. If you're on the side of Heroic. It's going to be a 5-2 split unless Officer can pull off the impossible. We had it just last round, but it will not occur here again, as Azar will dust you from long range, not missing a head for sure. And TT9 will climb up even further, making that buffer for 3 now that Heroic has to come back to.
All right, the eviction papers are on the table, as also you could say the same for Heroic, as they're gonna get shot out any second. A 5-2 score, getting closer to the match point. TT9 is looking very comfortable, and well, to say the least, they're 1 match, or actually 2 rounds away from taking this all, not only from Heroic, but possibly even from the grand finals. Maker Destiny is going to be having a very tough time, a very hard one, as, I mean, they're competing with a T1 team. I'm very much doubting they're used to that, unless they're just G2 in disguise and we don't know it. Now, with that in mind, we're going back to like this lovely gym, lovely bedroom. A lot of angles and a lot of sites you need to keep your eye out for, as this can get intense very second. I mean, you have windows, you have breaches, you have lodgy hatches, verticals, many things you have to go up against, but TT9 has been keeping up with it, even with them being the ones to be getting early picked on. They're doing a very fine job with keeping back up, and of course, continuing on this streak. Now, let's actually look at the loadout, shall we? For Lions, rather than loadout. I mean, the attackers are bringing out a bit of a Thermite Thatcher and Ace action just to secure the breach, which for Jacuzzi, for Cash, you need. It's very essential. This map is main breach focused, or at least has breach focused a lot more than others. Yana and Ash to finish it off just to destroy those Azamis. And on the defense, well, we have the Frost, we have the Capcan to ruin each other's lives, and the Ace is actually no, my DLC was laggy for a bit. Yeah, the Ace is going to be going there. Yeah, for a second it looked like Ace was running into Cash for me.
When the game doesn't even want you to cast it correctly, you know that it's a very important game. 2 players and outside Jacuzzi Plat. I want to just go ahead and do a little bit of drone work. There were only 2 players there on the initial play so that they could guarantee an entry point. Selma's placed on the eastern subroof, hard wall connecting to CCTV, and TT9 are having trouble keeping Heroic at bay. It's only been 60 seconds, though. The fact that all 5 players are standing for both sides is at least good for the defense so far. The pressure is starting to add up very quickly. I think the operator selection for Heroic is very indicative of the playstyle they want to work with. Slow and steady, create opportunities for holes like TT9 did on their attack, especially when it came to our last map of Shellac. And then in the final moments, take advantage of that space after a couple free picks here and there, like Blaz is there to Kendrill, and then pressure in towards that side. Should have been a free kill there for Blaz. Unfortunately, Noah's gets not just 1, but 2 right off the rip. Cream does get a refrag back. That's Kayak, does not get allowed for a second. It's Nowhere's with a 3K alone here in this round. There goes your only other teammate with the troll name of Skitty. Removes Azure from inside CCTV, was trying to make an escape back towards Cash, but disallowed. The right idea from Heroic, but maybe the timing just not there, as it is still a 2v2. 65 seconds are remaining, and TT9 have set themselves up very nicely to lie in wait in these very sentinel locations, like behind Logi desk. The Newers all the way back inside a bedroom hall, waiting outside that gym door.
Yeah, it's a 2v2 situation. Time is slowly running out as Ace and Yan are needing to push in slowly. I mean, it depends on where they want to go. They could fully focus on construction. It could be split. But yet again, then they're putting themselves into 1v1 situations, which you don't want to do. You want to make yourself and the defenders be kind of spread apart. You want the defenders to be in a 2v1 with you and your teammate as an attacker, as it's slowly coming down to an enemy. The HP isn't looking too good on both of these sides. Actually looking not too bad as well, as yet again, they're going to need to go in for a plan. They're going to need to get it down or the time is going to run out. 15 seconds on the clock. Are they going to jump in through the window? Both of these players are seemingly just holding their angles very tightly. And a frost trap coming out from Heroic. Lewinsky joining in to finish it on the Vector in hand, and no one expected it. He even shot at it for a second, but the headfire won't be enough, as RNG gods will not be on the side of Ace, finishing that up. And you could even call it a pogman at this point, as TT9 are on match point. Inferno, it's 6-2.
Savor the moments. But that right there, come a couple weeks in time, will never happen again on your screen. The lords of Ubisoft have dictated it to be so. Frost mats are receiving their rework. It's in the test servers already.
Oh, man.
Rest in peace, Frost in the chat. We'll all miss the Pogmat moments, and they've stripped away one of the few happy things we have when it comes to the defensive
Attackers
laws.
need to locate and defuse
Still,
bombs.
the 9mm is an extremely strong weapon. Should still likely be picked. Having a shield as well is very nice. And on top of that, it's not like they're the worst thing in the world. They're okay. May require you to do a little bit more like Capcan, though, where you send them away from sites. You would send them over to windows and entrances that are, I would say, as far away from the objective as possible. Just to get those blood pools, make sure they're DBNO'd initially, and put them on low HP. You can think of it like Capcan going from a full kill with a single EDD to then requiring 2 to 3, depending on the HP of the operator. Still, not too happy about that. TT9 may not be either after a very nice successful round off the back of the Pogpat, finding a little bit of success. They are up 6-2. Match point, series point. This round could determine who goes to the grand finals against Make Your Destiny. You could say this map determines the destiny of these players. That would be a little bit too on the nose.
Yeah, a bit of irony coming in as the grand final is already secured by someone with Destiny in their mind, as we're going to be seeing a bit of arts from the side of Kendra, a very artistic player we have here showing his true skills of MS Paint practice. And yeah, the smiley coming in the heart for all of you viewers. As you know, we're getting ready, but he does get interrupted. Dearly gets taken out of 4v4. Double kill from Leonsky. Heroic managing to take out the poor Omai, doing just his art on the wall. Kenta with another one, a 4v2, a 3v2 now. Looking very good for TT9 as they're managing to pretty much get into sight. And that's not good for TT9. That is good for Heroic. A 2v2 coming in. Officer and Joom left standing. Diffuser not in their hands. Is now Officer managing to get one. Joom joining in, and that's a second kill and a double kill joining in. And we will be getting closer to a 6-3 score. And yet again, Heroic seem to be climbing the ladder, but it's a bit too late now. Now that it's a 6-2, 6-3 score, I think it's too late to start regretting or, you know, fixing on your mistakes now, Inferno.
The count goes on, and Heroic still want to say they're in this game. I don't blame them. I do find it absolutely ridiculous that Kayak can draw on the wall and then immediately sprint over towards soft breach connecting to rafters and get a kill. The only saving grace was they were refragged back. Heroic took a very, I won't say
Attackers need to
aggressive
locate
stance,
and
but it
defuse
truly
bomb.
felt like that. The moment there was pressure from that rafter side and they knew that a kill was going forward, look how quickly they rushed into the garage. Took control of rafter stairwell and took control of rafters. Problem was TT9 did swing another player in, but Kanto got a little too confident after that pickup and tried to go for the run out. Probably should have expected the Claymore. Probably was playing for the first shot kill though, was hoping to knock down the player up on Eastern Subroof. Humble them a little bit in the process and go 1-for-1 in that process. Because they'd already gotten a kill just moments prior. Instead, only went even at the end of the
10
round.
seconds left before
TT9 still in a match point series point position for the grand finals coming up.
5 seconds remaining.
I think they're plenty happy with the fact they still got a 3-round buffer. They're bringing out the Capcan here in this round, the EDDs I had mentioned previously, as well as the castle. A lot of information can be gathered for this team, the Black Mirrors as well as the Mozzie Pest, though nothing has been stolen just yet. And speaking of information, you can gather information if you just open up a hole in the wall and look straight up outside and try to get a free frag off the back of it, but it has been well denied by Heroic until Nitro out of nowhere. Kanto rips and dips, and down goes
Bomb
Skitty.
located by attackers.
Whoa, 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 what is happening? Heroic is already inside a 4v2 for
It's over.
TT9 to get shut down instantly as the poor Monty's left in secret. Oh, what a flabbergasting moment. He pulls out the pistol. Will be getting challenged by all, and in a 4v1, this is looking not only pretty much impossible to win, he gets pushed by the shoulder pressure on his shots. Shots are fired, but Kenshiro gets taken out. The slam of the shoot coming out, the impacts are starting to get thrown, as Mozzie will be there to finish the job. And Heroic gets taken down finally, as TT9 will be taking that. A very well attempted rush from the side of Heroic, but it gets shut down so instantly. It's not like they even got the chance to show what they were made of. As with that, TT9 will be going to the grand finals, and Heroic will be getting taken out, as, you know, production team was kind of relying on Heroic to win. I'll be completely frank.
I know what you're on about. We entered into this game and said we wanted an upset story. Everyone said Heroic. Every single person. I think I agreed with it as well, though I did say I wanted TT9 to do a good job. Nobody expected the result at the end of the day that we got, and frankly, I'm happy for it. We did call out 2-1. Analyst and host, you got that right. You just got to get the team right. Got to revoke that smart badge you've been keeping in that chest pocket. You got to get something right at the end of the day. We're going to see how right they are about the callouts they made for this as they break this down even further. My name's Infernus. It's been a pleasure to be joined here by Bob. And we're going to go ahead and send this over to the host and analysts to really send us on out of here before the interview as well. We'll see you guys next time.
And we're back. What a series, Reaper. Truly, it was just good siege. That's all I can say about it. It was just really, really good siege. A very enjoyable watch. And, you know, just to take a little bit of a second here, you know, in a nice Titan series, which is T3, T4 tournament, to be able to see two T1 Titans clash against each other and watch this high quality siege, you know, it's a privilege, let's just say. And I'm really happy that we got to watch this today and we can analyze it. So, but Reaper, I mean, talk me through it, man. What happened in this map that basically gave TT9 such a big edge over Heroic, especially after that very, very last round on the last map?
I think it was Heroic coming apart at the seams a little. I think they were struggling to stay on top of the game with especially TT9's pace. I think TT9 here on Clubhouse started picking up the pace immensely. There's one round that I noticed where they went for an execute on Jim. I don't remember which round exactly, but they went into the site, they went for a plant, and despite a double kill with a C4, they're still able to close it out because they're playing the objective correctly. And I think it's that one step ahead that ended up giving TT9 that advantage in this map overall. And I mean, if you look at the matchup between these two teams today across all three maps, honestly, every single map kind of favored TT9. Even Chalet. Chalet was a close affair, and Chalet, arguably, we could have closed it out there if it wasn't down to Joom just being able to find a 1v3 in the last round of overtime. And everything leading up to that on Chalet. We most likely would have seen TT9 take it much, much earlier. But Heroic gave them a tough fight, and they played very well putting up against them, especially Joom. in the earlier stages of the match, on like map 1, I think June was playing Stellar, and Blast started warming into it as well. So we finally got to see Heroic playing at full power.
Mm.
But still, at the same time, it wasn't enough. And what I was worried for with TT9 was simply the inconsistency with their roster. They've been going through a lot of different players and a lot of different roster shuffles, seeing what works and what doesn't, trialing some players. And I think with this, they might have found some form of stable core that they can work with, because Kendra seems to feel very comfortable, and Kanto, just the same, seems to feel very comfortable with the way they're playing right now. And I think that's a big factor, because these two players are the core, and TT9 seems to want to build around these two. And when they can be enabled and when they can play properly, I think TT9 has a bright future ahead of them.
Absolutely, I wouldn't have put it better myself. I mean, Kanto and Kendra, they're the experienced players of the team, the backbone, and both of them, like Kendra especially, I don't think he has had the best of, like, I think last year especially, he wasn't having the best of years in his career, but he's definitely come back this year with a bang. Every single game I watch with this man, he is popping off. He's always hitting a very good number of kills, especially on a support character most of the time. He's playing really well, and I can only imagine what goes off the field, what we can see or what we can't see in the VCs and his comms is something that he's also really good at. So he's really had a glow up. This is one thing I want to point out. And apart from that, I mean, Noah especially, we saw in EUL, he wasn't feeling himself to the best, but we're truly finally seeing the best version of Noah. And he's an absolute gunner, Reaper. He's an absolute gunner, dropping so many kills. I mean, how many multi-kills unpunished did he end up getting? It was an unfathomable amount. I mean, I can count, I think, on 3 maps. I can think of 5. There was a lot. Okay, that's not important. But apart from that, I mean, let's just talk through a few of the clips, because I'm sure there's a few of the rounds you want to talk about, Reaper.
Yeah, let me just pull up the order of the clips, because again, there was a lot that happened throughout this match, and yet again, there was some explosive rounds that just really went back and forth so quickly, where it was hard to judge which way the round was going to go until the very end, because there's just a big clash between everyone across the map. There's one big front line, and everybody seems to clash at one specific choke point. There's like 5 or 6 kills going back and forth. And then in the end, one team comes out on top just barely, and like usually a 3v2 or maybe a 2v1. And so it's very hard to tell how rounds go between these two teams up until they've happened, simply because of the unexpected factor. And I especially want to point out one of the wall bangs that happened, the wall bang double kill that Puffer certainly didn't hype enough, but my goodness, what a shot from Noah. The fact that they lined up through a wall, and a little bit of luck on their side. I think TT9, they had the 4-leaf clover on their side for this game, certainly, but not to discredit, not to take away from anything they've done, because they were certainly the better team today across all 3 maps, and that's something that you absolutely have to give them. Heroic played well, and I think Heroic are a good benchmark to go up against, and TT9 are proving that they can meet that standard, and they can push that benchmark.
Yeah, I think we're finally seeing a version of TT9 that's getting to the point where they're going to be really dangerous to go against. I mean, we've talked about a few of the players here, but even the players we're not talking about, the people who are maybe on the back
I mean,
support.
Noah, jeez. I
mean,
did not
apart-
touch
I
on
mean-
Noah, but Noah, oh my.
Like, Noah is really good. Obviously, we talked about the pillars, Leonski. I mean, they have a really solid group of players. Azar as well, ex-10 star. All of these players are playing really well, and I'm just seeing a really polished version of TT9. That I remember the last time that I had an interview with TT9, which we'll have very shortly, so don't go anywhere. But I was speaking to Kenju, and Kenju said that they're still only just beginning, and they're polishing, and they're trying to work, and finally seeing some of these the fruits of these labor finally blooming. And I'm just really glad to see it, because for a long time, I think there's always been a stigma about TT9, especially after EUL 1, stage 1, that they aren't really quote unquote deserving to be in a tier 1 position. And I think if anyone watches this game today, I don't think anyone could be able to come up and say no, that they don't deserve to be in that spot. And I feel like, especially in the upcoming combined EUL 2, whatever leagues if they start to play next, they're definitely going to be a major contender as well.
Yeah, I mean, as you pointed out, the stigma that they carried along from the TT9 that entered the scene, it was a completely different team, and I feel it's somewhat unfair to still be discrediting TT9 because of that. It's a prejudice, of course, that they still walk around with, because that used to be their performance. But I think that's why they've been working especially hard on putting something together that's going to work And they've gone through a lot of different options, and they've done a lot of hard work to try and go through that. And this is not necessarily complex work, but it's just so tedious. It might be simple, but it's just so many hours of investment to go through what works, what doesn't, and who works and who doesn't. And I feel like TT9 have now gone through that crude work, and they can now start picking out the finer tools to go and refine what they've been working on now. And as you said, it's now starting to take shape. And I'm very excited for that. And I'm especially excited for them playing against MID in the finals.
Of course, we still have a finals left, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But first, we have an interview ready. Leonski. Hello, Mr. Leonski. First of all, congratulations on the W. Probably your hardest competition so far you faced in the tournament or against another fellow T1. How are you feeling, man?
Feeling good. Yeah, had a lot of fun. It's been a while for me since I last played an official game. So to get back into it was loads of fun, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll talk a bit more about the game because I'm sure there's a few rounds that we're gonna want to talk about. But before we get to that, I mean, we've had a lot of roster changes over the course of Talent League and some other leagues as well. So I want to just ask, as a team, have you managed to finally find a formula that really works for you? Because the TT9 that we watched today was one of the more polished forms that I think was in a really good version that that we felt that could really compete.
It's obviously difficult, I think, to judge whether things are working. We obviously play with me, like a coach, and they play with their coach, Mr. Officer. So I think it's difficult to judge, right? I think we've added some pieces which we're really happy with, and I think which add a lot of value, and I think work better with the team. But yeah, obviously this is not our full roster, not their full roster. So I'd say, yeah, it's a bit difficult to judge at this stage.
Definitely. Well, let's talk a bit about the game itself. Some people are now crowning you champions already, even though you still have one more game left to do in the finals. Make your destiny. Do you think it's job done, or there's still one more final hurdle left?
Well, it's obviously you can never count out anybody, right? And we've had our fair share of issues and everything. And we're gonna be playing again with me tomorrow. So the boys gonna have to put me on their backs, carry this old man, and yeah, it'll be a good game, I think.
I mean, if Noah starts popping up like you did today, then I have no doubt that you guys are gonna absolutely roll the other team apart. How many? You know, 20 kills in that Chalet game. I mean, let's talk about Chalet game because it's 7-7 match point. Now you know where we're gonna go with this, right? It's a 1v3 plus plan, and you're 1v3 against you. I mean, talk me through what happened there and what was really going on and how it ended up happening. What actually ended up happening.
Well, obviously, I had the crossfire set up kind of with Kanto, right? And the idea was just to I just got it into my head to keep the initiative and just close it out, right? Instead of maybe giving him potential 1v1s. So I just said, let's swing him 3-2-1. It was mainly meant for me and Kanto, but then Azir tried to bait for us, but then we ended up lining up, and he was in cover behind the Azami barrier. But you know the craziest thing about that is, you know, you think the game is pretty much in the bag, right? 3v1, like it never really felt like we lost that game. So then to go on to a third map when maybe you've already, you know, kind of clocked off mentally, that was difficult. But yeah.
True. It's probably a good mental experience as well, to be able to get into that. You know, especially when you're maybe not feeling your best mentally. Like you said, you lose that 7-7. I don't really know what the mentality was in the team, but I know sometimes it can be a little bit draining, especially when you lose like that. But it was really good to see you guys bounce back. It was a really convincing victory as well on Clubhouse to make sure that you showed everyone watching that even though you don't have your complete teams, you really were the better team overall in this series and you deserve to win.
Yeah, I must give a big shout out to Mr. Officer, right? Like he's definitely stepped up that last game for his team, you know. So I I think it was fun to see, and I think it's interesting to see two EUL teams play with their coaches, right? So I think that's I think it was a fun game.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun game to watch as well, especially as high-level siege. But Leonski, I've taken too much of your time already. I know your time is precious. So as a final thing, anything you want to say to the people watching, to your teammates, to your family, to your friend, anything of that as a last final send-off?
No, not really, actually. Thank you very much for the interview. I really appreciate it.
No, no worries. Pleasure is all mine. Have a good night, Leonski. And congratulations once again, and good luck in the finals.
Thank you.
Very well then. I think that just about wraps it up here. You're gonna have to deal with my smiling little face for the last few minutes here as I wrap up this show. But it has been a final semi-final. Not the final yet. The finals are coming up, but it has been the final semi-final, of course. So we still have one more game left, and it's obviously Make Your Destiny versus TT9. I know who my money's on. You can have a little bit of a community vote. Have it on the Twitter. Just keep checking it. Because I don't know, sometimes you have a community vote, sometimes you don't. If you don't have it, hashtag blame Trippin. It's always Trippin's fault. If there's any problem with production, it's always Trippin's fault. I'm joking, of course. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this semi-final of Talent League Titan series. Make sure you tune into the final. I've been Jaeger. Of course, thank you once and for all to our production lovely staff. Obviously, Epsilon producing, Nanos and Dishwater So for observing later on. Of course, our lovely casters in Inferno as well as Bob. And how could I forget the one and only analyst himself, Reaper, who gave a really good analysis. But anyways, that's all from me for today. So make sure you're coming to the finals once again. I've been Jaeger. Stay hydrated. Peace out.